G'day, citizens. Welcome to the Inforunners. I'm Execute, joined today by Algared. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing fairly well.
Look like you're sitting up for a change. Like it
Right?
stripped your head off. Yeah.
I'll lean back a little bit. There you go.
Yeah. All right.
I'll lean back a little bit and not be head. That's because I'm running a little late.
Yes, you were. He rocked up literally like 2 minutes ago. I was like, he's not coming. He's not coming. He's not coming.
I'm giving you the feeling that you give me often.
The worst part is I've been here since 2:30. I've been here for like 2.5 hours. So I was here very early. Hang out with Badges for a little bit. Caught up with him and Can.
Although, when I got on, I didn't see you were in chat. But your icon was offline. So, well, he's not here yet. Okay.
Oh, I was invisible. That's right. Yeah, I was hiding.
So I was.
I'll turn it back on. You're frozen for a sec. You'll be back. You go back. So yeah, my plan for today was to look forward at some of the stuff that's coming this year, and we'll talk about. Go from there. You back, Algared?
Sorry, yeah, I'm just typing into the YouTube chat. The usual greeting. Nice day for fishing, ain't it?
Yes. Right. Let me get things organized on my end. Get the bot up and going as well.
Of course, that's got to come with.
So, is there anything you are specifically looking to, Algared, for this year?
This year? No, not really. Like everything, all the stuff they showed us in sitcom, and all the stuff that we've seen coming on is just a really nice interest. One thing I did notice, I was in game the other day, and I noticed that missions that you decline, or missions that you abandon now, or missions that you've certainly seem to follow you between logons. So you go into your history and you go, oh, I abandoned that mission. And so it's actually starting to keep a record of it, of your missions and the impact that's had. So that was quite a nice sort of thing to realise. Bit of a shock. I abandoned it, I'll come back later. But nope, that's starting to have an impact.
Yeah, Bulk86, thank you for the Prime subscription. 2 months. Yeah, I one of the things Badges was saying, like he's doing bunker runs now, and the guns that he's pulling out, they're worn. They're not pristine. They're, you know, so you're starting to go to the environment, and the things are starting to feel like they should. So we're starting to see these things come full circle. And not to give too much away, but me, you, and Space recorded an episode like 2 days ago, and that really changed a lot of things for me. And you, and I know Space, we all got something out of that episode. And that'll be coming to you guys Monday on the Up Over, Tuesday Down Under. And yeah, that was just a real eye-opener for me. We kind of went into it where I wanted to do an episode with Space because we hadn't done one in a while, and I basically really thought about his wheelhouse, and he's the gameplay guy. That's what he focuses on. So I was like, well, let's look into 2024 and see if we can look beyond you know, what we know we're getting. And
not just what CIG said is coming in it's coming in next year.
And when we laid it out, like to take all of CitizenCon, see, I've probably still got it here somewhere, hang on. To take all of CitizenCon and get it into a sticky note that big, I think we did pretty well. And and when it's laid out,
everything.
No, but when the broad strokes are covered out that well, and you can look at the broad strokes and go, this is that, and from that you can see what that's going to be. It made it really clear to me what we're getting this year. And
I thought it was interesting.
More found out
all the points we wanted to talk about, and I think we kind of touched on every point, but we certainly didn't go into every point in detail just because it was just so.
It is a broad strokes episode, and that's what I intended it to be, because let's be honest, we've all seen the little nitty grits, and sometimes when you're so taken up in the details, you need to step back, and then sometimes when you're taking such a broad view, you've also got to go into detail. And this was the opposite. You know, this was the earlier one where we had all the detail, but if you stand back and look at it as a whole, what is it? And it became really clear. And you know, when you guys watch that episode, or maybe we'll talk about it next week, but yeah, it was really obvious to me what we're getting this year, and it lines up with CRG's kind of MO, you know. So yeah, I got a lot out of it.
The other thing I should point out for the video is that this is before they've had their monthly meeting. And so, as we say in the video, this is us looking forward to from what we've seen so far, what we expect or what we hope.
I guess we should say that is speculation on our part, but I'd be really surprised if it's not on the money. And again, when you see, you'll understand, like, it's not rampant speculation. It's like, it makes sense. It just makes sense. It's real simple, and it makes sense. But I just couldn't see it until I laid it out that way. And well, we were on the same
I know
page.
initially you were going, I don't know if we've got enough. I don't know where we should. And
well,
I think
it was
I were going, it'll be good.
It was,
and then we can do a follow up after their meetings and say, look at how close or how far off we were. But yeah, it was one of those episodes. It was just really fun and enjoyable to do, because we don't get space on. But just taking what we could see and then going, well, what's the logical conclusion of that? Where does that logically head? And it was interesting to see where we all intersected at the same points as well. So.
Well, it was those comments just before we started recording that Space said that made it really click for me, and I was like, holy shit, I just didn't see that. And then when I laid it out in the notes and started reading further, it just went click, 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 click. So anyway, you guys look forward to that one. And by the way, it wasn't a short one, it was an hour long. We haven't done a long one in a while. But you know, they come as they come, don't they? We've got trying to organize the tier list show, so it's either going to be at the end of this month or March, because Space has got some stuff on and the other boys have got some stuff on, so it might be delayed again like last year, but we're trying to get that going as well. One question right now, Algared, so we'll get this one done. We can wrap it up right now. Yeah, we're done. Quick, get it out before they get more questions.
Okay. So, do you think the Blockade Runner dynamic event intended to replace Ninetale Lockdown will come by Invictus launch weekend? This is by Citizen Ninja.
Do you think the Blockade Runner dynamic event is to replace the Ninetales Lockdown will come by? Yeah, well, that's essentially 4 months away. I'd be pretty surprised if it's not out by then. We're going to have 323 before then, you know. So I think you'd if they've been talking about it. I haven't heard anything about the Blockade mission. Have you, Algared? Not recently.
I can't recall. I know they were talking about redoing things like the Ninetale Lockdown, because there were certain elements that weren't working with it or didn't work the way they wanted. But I don't think it's necessarily dependent on Invictus launch week. It's just when they get it ready and it's good to go, they'll do it as an event that fits logically, I hope. But yeah, if it's ready beforehand, if it's not ready. I think you could also look at the events and the things that are coming in the next few months, and we could probably see maybe where it'll fall as an event or an activity that's happening in the verse. But
I am remembering that immersion breaking thing that happened just before we started recording too, where you let your green screen go up and walked out into the kitchen, and I saw him with shorts on. So he's got shorts on. He wears that fancy suit, but he's got shorts on, and it just blows your mind. It was like, what the?
I'll give you another update.
No.
I'm doing the same today.
Yeah, I bet you would be. It was freaking me out too. He had like this orange shirt on, orange shorts, and then like it blew my mind. Anyway, yeah,
it was orange shirt, green shorts, but you know, hey.
Yeah. Oh, I thought it was orange shorts, but anyway, whatever. Doesn't matter.
It was plus 30 degrees here, you know. I was melting.
Yeah, he's got he got a new mic over Christmas. Those of you that can't tell, he's got a new mic. He's got it set up pretty well at the moment. So
it still needs a bit of fine tuning, I think.
It's probably me that's got the worst mic now, but we'll see how that goes. So let us know if you have any audio issues from either of us today. That would be good.
And we'll certainly want to do that. Certainly, if I'm dropping in and out or going robotic, that'll tell me I need to do a bit more fine tuning. Well, thank you, Luna Maria. I'm glad to hear that I'm sounding a lot better. It's I've gone from like I love road. I love. I start going on a road rant, not a rant, but a road. Yes. Whenever I start talking about them, and I had the Rode Podcaster, which is USB.
He had the USB version of what I've got.
And they're great mics. Like By our pricing, like around $200. I think yours is about $200 Australian, 290. But it's a 10-year warranty, so you could compare that to other mics.
You're doing it again.
And you go, well,
You're doing it again. You're doing it again. You go shit.
Yeah, it's fine. But I really get amazed by yours. Like you bought yours. I think you got yours secondhand, didn't you?
The one that you replaced, I had one like that.
All right.
And I got mine secondhand, and it was 7 years old. And then it has some kind of design flaw with USB 3 ports, and I was running off a USB 3 port when it was designed for a USB 2, and it killed it. And they had never had that happen before, and they asked me to send it back to them, and that's when they found the error, and they actually released an updated version of the mic based probably just not on me, but on other people they found the error with. And so they just gave me a whole new microphone, even though it was secondhand, 7 years old. Bang, whole new one.
And the new mic, brand new
yep,
brand new warranty as well, so another 10 years. So
yeah, so good customer service, long story short.
But yeah, but I think the length of that warranty indicates how much they love or how much they support and backing their product. But
I think that's the one company you'd be happy to get a sponsorship for the channel, wouldn't it be?
I'd love to get a sponsorship for the channel, because I gush about them all the time, so it's almost free advertising for them whenever they do stuff. But you see, I've started to see their products turn up.
They're definitely moving into more gaming stuff now, so they are becoming a more thing. It's just, I think one of the reasons Algared and I go on about them is because it's an Australian company, and we just don't see, like, made in Australia is just not a thing you see much anymore. But anyway. Right, next question. Shempasa says, when do you think we'll get instance hangers this year?
Not soon enough, in my opinion.
The only kind of real info we've got is they said that they want to have most of them in by 3/23, and that, January, February, March, so it usually you get your first quarter patch in March, every 3 months. So fingers crossed, I would say March. We haven't heard any different until we hear any news on that, Shem. I don't think we could say any different. And the fact is, I don't know how much you guys have been looking, but the tech preview and even the ETPTU has been getting patches. The EPTU got a patch today, and the big thing they put in was the level 2 tractor beam, Algared, the two-handed one,
the big one. Yep,
they put in a two-handed scraper tool by Great Cat, so it's now you can now scrape stuff, and this is only in the last couple of hours this went in, and there's already videos up on YouTube about it. But yeah, basically, so instead of just having the hand tool to scrape now, you've got a bigger one as well.
You got a heavier tool.
Yeah, and it's similar. The way I'd explain it to is, the kind of yellow of the Grey Cat part. Imagine that, but you kind of have the handle, and you kind of take the middle and the front part out, and you put a different part in, and it makes it a whole different tool. It's not a multi-tool. It's just like they've used the same handle for both type of thing. Yeah. When you see it, you'll understand what I'm talking about. I can probably picture.
A multi-tool is Grey Cat's kind of versatile swap attachment.
Well, so there's 2 videos I've seen on it. I'll see if I can find the other one.
Yeah.
So I got one was by this was the second one. This was the first one I've seen. So this was by Wicked Wookie, and he called it the Cow Milker. That's, you can see there what I mean by the yellow handles. And this is the second one that I haven't watched yet, by Captain Floxy. But if you cut into the video and just pause, just a second short, I reckon.
Clips,
right there. So yeah. You can see it's very similar but different, as in the handle. So it's got Grey Cat styling. So I'll leave it at that.
It's Grey Cat tool, so you'd expect that. So.
Yeah, and it's got this cool little animation. I'll see if I can get it to play that real quick. I'll just mute. When he plays it, I'll let that play for a little bit in the background. You're only meant to be able to play 5 seconds of other people's stuff, so I don't want to. There we go. So they just kind of jiggle back and forwards. It reminds me of the if you've ever played Dead Space, the kind of default Ripper tool. It looks a lot like that in a way. And I actually do wonder if that's inspired it at all. But
what I'd like to see from Grey Cat though is not necessarily salvage tools. And I can see that kind of working with Grey Cat from their history. Actually, it worked with Argo from their history. is that I'd like to see more. I'd like to see Grey Cat doing mining.
Yeah.
Because that's their kind of wheelhouse. That's where they kind of had their history. The whole idea of their vehicles and was protecting miners, because the guy who was behind the company had this great, he'd cut corners once and basically caused people to die, and so as a result of that, he went really overboard in terms of safety. So the little mine and personal transport vehicle we've got, the PTV.
We'll have to see how that lands, because again, that's law team, not design team. So it's kind of like what happened with Crusader. Like, they laid out all this law, and then the design team came in and said no, smack, and just like changed it all. And yeah, unfortunately, that happens sometimes.
I don't think a Grey Cat and Argo it's as big an issue, as big a problem. But so
agreed.
Crusader.
But what I guess what I'm trying to say is that they're more of a, to me, right? I know they have the little Grey Cat thing, right? But they've always been like a little bit like Kruger, like a smaller manufacturer that is more into the the weapons and small vehicles rather than the big stuff. And if you think about real life, that happens a lot. Like, so let's just take Apple as an example. Apple have lots of smaller manufacturers that feed into them. And I would say that they are a feeding manufacturer, not a major manufacturer.
They're not quite like Kruger. Kruger are certainly like that. They are the manufacturer that make all the parts that everyone uses.
Yeah.
And
but there's a whole bunch of them, like Cure Life and stuff like that. And I have no doubt they're all going to have like a breakout one thing. So like for the Grey Cat, it's like the PTV or whatever. And like Kruger, it's like the Merlin. And Cure Life might get an ambulance, or, do you know what I mean? Like something where they kind of go beyond their means. And we have that in the major manufacturers too, where you get like the Reclaimer's a massive breakout one, and the Vulcan, they're like they're breaking away from their traditional military roots. But I'm sure we'll see that. Like, well, even the Mole is kind of a breakout for Argo, if you get what I mean.
Well, so that's the difference. Argo are the company that they are doing logistics and other stuff. So going into mining is a breakout for them. Grey Cat are a mining company. They make mining stuff,
mining tools and mining heads, but we haven't really. Like, they don't make ships.
And they do the vehicles. So the PTV was originally designed to actually go through mining tunnels for protection. That Kruger, on the other hand, they're a company that specialise in doing the parts, the triggers, the buttons, the springs, and all those bits for everyone.
So probably that's what we'll see. A couple of mining vehicles from them. You know what I mean? Because it's in their wheelhouse.
And that's why I say I'd like to see Grey Cat, rather than doing a salvage tool to a mining tool. That fits more with what the tools they do as well. I'd like to see them bring out more mining vehicles and stuff like that.
I reckon we'll get that too, like a size 2 mining tool from them. Makes sense to me. See.
So, and I think the way that you describe the tools is they're unique tools, but you can clearly see they're variants of the same type of handle or setup. So, next question.
Yeah, go for it.
Predictions: Polaris flight ready by Invictus launch week or IAU this year?
We're hoping. We've said that a few times.
And this is from 1985.
Yeah, we've said that. I've said that a few times. I'm hoping that it comes for launch week, but let's look at where they were. They had a very light texture on the external of it. They didn't really have any textured internals. Possible, yes. I'm thinking, knowing what happened to the Santok AI, could go either way, couldn't it?
Yeah, they could get it ready, and they could think, hey, it's ready, and it doesn't pass its final test, and so it goes back into the works. I'd like it to be Invictus launch week. It'd work. It'd certainly fit very nicely, but if it's not ready by Invictus launch week, then whenever.
Yeah, it'd be great if it was, but I'm not gonna hold them to the flame, so to speak, if it's not. Just real quick, Hook 205 says, Happy New Year. We passed 5 million backers. 5 million accounts is what I'll call it. I won't call it 5 million backers because, for example, I know multiple people that have multiple accounts. So it's very hard to say that that is accurate. I reckon we're well beyond 1 million, but I don't think we're definitely not at, say, 5 million. No way.
Yeah. 5 million accounts is.
Yeah.
But then when you look at that, and that's accounts that have spent money. That's 5 million accounts that have spent at least $40, or at least a base pack, so $45. So it's interesting. It's always interesting to see that based on account, the average backer still spends only $190 or $150 or something like that.
Yeah, that's the average. So it tells you how many people are damn whales, put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of scary. Yeah. All right. Next question from Chris, who says, "How should the Zeus Mark II be balanced? The ES has larger radar than the 400i, 600i. CL has shield count and SCU versus C1. Many claim the Zeus will be slow, but the MR exists and all QED ships are fast." Well,
I'd say let's get the ship out first and then see how it balances.
That's the first part of it. The second part is me and Algared went really in depth on these medium ones because we made a couple of mistakes beforehand, and so I got really no, we didn't get crucified. We just got a couple of people going off at us in the comments, and I went, right, well, we're going to go deep on this one. So we went deep and we did a medium ship guide. I'll find it somewhere. I've got it. Hang on, give me a second, Algared. I'll open it. Where is it? So we'll go to our channel and I'll flick over as it loads. Wasn't that long ago, was it, Algared?
I don't feel it was long ago. It probably was.
Probably could have been long ago. It was called Medium Ship Comparison or something like that. Let me have a look. Medium.
It was around the same time as the Zeus came out.
There it is. God Killer. What kills the Zeus? Medium ship comparison. This is the one. And
I was right. It was before.
Yeah. But what we laid out here, and I literally say it right at the start of the video, the thing that became really obvious about the Zeus, again, when you lay things out and you can step back and look at them, the same thing we were talking about the video that we did this week, is it just allows you to look at things from a completely different perspective, because you very rarely can you look at everything like this on a big page, right? But it became really clear to us, and you can look at it again here, and I'm literally talking about it like doing this, like I was back then. There is no base variant.
Oh, hang on.
Yeah. Algared, you need glasses. You don't need glasses on.
Yeah, I know.
And I take mine off because I've got mine on. I stole Algared's glasses. That's the difference, right? But yeah, there's no base variant, and that was, and also combine that with the fact that the Zeus had its past, but none of the others had. It became really evident to us, and that's why it looks like on paper like it completely kills the Cutlass, the base variants of the Cutlass, the Spirit, and the Freelancer, and it's because there is no base variant. Now, going back to your comment about speed, you literally kind of said it yourself. You said there is no slow version of a QED ship. Well, this could be the first one, and that's the difference. It is the thing that became real clear to me and Algared. Now, you correct me if I'm putting words in your mouth here, Algared. Tell me if I am. Is on paper the thrusters for this thing were lower than anything else, and that implies that it is slower but defensive, like most tanks that you see in most other games. Now,
yeah, I'd have to clarify whether that is 100% what we're looking at. I'd have to go back and have a look at the figures, but that really does ring true what we were recalling, because I remember the thing that really stuck out for us was the Spirit was like Flash Gordon compared to the others.
Yeah.
And that kind of seemed to fit in with what we were getting a feel with what Crusader are. They're fast, nimble ships that are really designed to get out of there rather than hang around and fight.
Yeah.
And our impression was of Zeus soon to be hang in there.
We couldn't
take a beating.
Work out exactly where they all sat because, again, the Zeus is not out. So it's two things. There's either two tanks, the Freelancer and the Zeus, and one's a shield-based tank and one's like an armor-based tank, or the Freelancer's right in the middle.
Yeah,
and everything is a one spoke off it. So like the Spirit goes to speed, the Cutlass goes to combat, and the Zeus goes to the more tanky.
And that was where we just couldn't work it out. And again, it was just literally, as you just said, the Zeus is now. So you can't really do that comparison. You can only look at it on paper and go, we can see that with the others. How does this one compare?
Yeah.
And I think at that point, the Spirit had only just come out as well. So it was really hard to get that comparison and a lot of data on that comparison as well. So,
and there were little things like how it talks about the seal having extra thrusters and stuff like that. And you ask yourself, well, why does it need extra thrusters? Well, because if it's going down to planet, it needs better thrusters because it's taking so much cargo with it, where the other two seem like they don't need that as much because again they seem to be, again, you can see certain ships are built for atmosphere more than others and things like that. So, and I would say that it dynamically already has a kind of wing shape to it, but I think that this is going to be the worst kind of flyer but the most defended of them. So it's almost like, say, taking a and I know they're not exactly on the same page, but you know, you got your Polaris is like your a quick attack one, and then you've got your Perseus, which is your super tanky defender one. It's the same type of thing. Like what like the Cutlass is the attacky light one, and then you know the Zeus is the other way, going the tanky, and you can see it almost looking just in the imagery. They kind of lean towards those aesthetics. You know, you can see that this one's bigger and faster. This one looks more aggressive and combaty. This one's somewhere in the middle, light but not too heavy, and then the other one is like this big bulky girl, so to speak. And I think
so
they
in
all
MMO
speak
terms, the Cutlass is your fighter, your damage dealer, your Zeus is your paladin, your meat shield, your Spirit is your scout archer, and your freelance is your cleric, the guy in between. The guy is kind of a mix of everything.
I'd say it's slightly different than that, but you do you. I'd be like, this is your rogue, or you know, your fast moving guy. The Cutlass is your kind of DPS. Your middle of the road all rounder is your freelancer, and then your tank being the Zeus. But yeah,
that's exactly what I said. Exactly what I was saying.
I saw it slightly different, but
Anyway,
let's move on to the next question. I hope that answers your question. Whoever it was that answered, where was it? It was Chris.
A bit more convoluted than
yeah. I'll link that video in, I think, what platform was he on? Chris was on YouTube, so I'll drop that in YouTube for you, Chris, and hopefully that answers.
You'll be able to see that.
Yeah. Give me a second.
So while you're doing that, Kyle Smith has a question. At SitCon, I got to talk with Jared, and he told me Port Alisar would be coming back in the last way you'd guess. So any guesses? Perhaps as a template for a player buildable station.
All right, so you still there, Algared, or did I lose you?
Yep, I'm still here.
All right, I'll read the question again because I was reading what Chris said to me.
So at SitCon, I got to talk with Jared, and he told me that Port Alisar would be coming back in the least way the last way you'd guess.
I don't have it open, but I actually think it's one of the levels in the tank battles. If you go into one of the tank battle levels, there are all these giant rings like lodged in the surface of Daymar.
So you think Alisar crashed to a planet,
or been taken somewhere, or something's happened to it? But again, it's only speculation on my part. If you get into the levels for the tank battles, you'll see what I'm talking about. They're exactly the same rings from Port Alisar. So
if Alisar had been placed above Microtech or Arcor or even Hurston, it would certainly make sense. But above Crusader, that becomes problematic. But could it come back? Yeah. Hey, I'm going to have it in my hangar.
Yeah.
Because I've got a hologram of Alisar. And I'm pretty certain you do as well.
Yeah, I've got it. Oh, wait.
So there you go. It'll come back in people's hangars as a kind of retro hologram, or as a...
Yeah, it could be anything, but it sounds like they're going to make it something different.
A space museum.
Yeah, you know. Well, they showed it flying into. They showed it flying into Crusader, but it can't go into Crusader because if there's nothing for it to crash into. So it's got to go either further out or something. We'll see what happens. We'll see. Yeah, maybe it becomes a bit like Kovalex, and it's something you explore.
It's a representation that
what happened to Port Ellis?
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, anything's possible.
All right.
It becomes the new.
We are very dry on questions today. We're down to the final 5 again. So
wow.
This is going to be
I was thinking, our waffling had increased the question count.
No, we currently put people to sleep. That's what we do here.
Oh, well, sorry about that, guys.
But yeah, if you got some more questions, get them in, because we go as long as the questions go. That's basically it. We've only been on half an hour. Normally, we try to get to 3 hours, but maybe this will be the first time we actually finish early in a long time.
So, Pastor wants me to start gushing about Rode again, because he asks, "Do you need a Rodecaster type device to start streaming?" I'm going to say no.
No, not really. I think we started out using headsets. Just headsets. We had normal webcams, and over the years we've upgraded to SLRs. They definitely are the better webcams. They are just so much clearer. And if you saw my backup or cat cam, it is noticeably clearer. They have a better lens, all that type of thing. And then the mic's pretty easy to do, really, because as Algared said, they're about 200 Aussie dollars. I don't know what that is in freedom units, but you know, they're probably roughly about the same. Put it this way, they're about the same price as a good pair of headphones. And I think they're a better investment, because then you don't have to use the headset anymore. And one of the problems I always had when I had headsets was I'd accidentally sit on the mic or tread on the mic or something, and it would break, or the one small part would break, and then I had to replace the whole thing. Now, if the headphones break, headphones are cheaper to replace. So in the long run, they become cheaper, and they are an investment. And you obviously are not damaging the microphone because it's just sitting there and stuff like that. And I think just to add to that real quick, the biggest piece of advice I can ever give you, whether you have headset or headphones, is keep them on a hook. And every pair of headphones I ever had, they broke here or here. They're the 2 weak points on the headphones. And again, as soon as you put them on a hook, this is not bending and this cable's not bending. And so as soon as you take that out of the equation, I had headphones going from every 18 months I was getting a new pair to literally like 4 years. Right? So hook. And if you're really cheap and don't have a hook, put them over your monitor when you finish. Never lay them down. I
think the key thing you need is a mic. So I was using headphone and mic when I started, and everyone said you need to get a better mic. And I think they said the same to you. You know, if you're gonna keep going on the show, you need to have a better mic. And so we both went the podcast originally. My podcast is now 7 years old. It's still working fine.
Yeah,
it's just been updated. You know, but that's what you need. You need a good quality mic. And there are plenty of great mics out there.
Yeah,
I got sold on Rode. I was blown away by their customer service, second to none as far as I'm concerned. And a 10-year warranty. Like my original Rode, my podcaster, is still under warranty. That blows me away.
Yeah, and I like. We're not even going into other things too. Like, oh, Expat's got the same mic as me. There you go. You got this one, Expat.
Yep.
So Expat's using
the Procaster. Is it a Procaster? Yeah, the Procaster.
The Procaster, and the podcast is the white one with the USB.
Yeah.
And they've brought out new ones now. Like they brought out the gaming ones, and the gaming ones are exactly the same, and they cost twice the price just because it says gaming on it. And it's like, what? But
well, the latest one I think is their pod mic, which is very, very similar to Shure in many ways.
That's got really good, really good entry level. That one. Yeah.
But the nice thing about that one is you don't have the XLR plug. It can't, you've got the USB plug you use.
The main advantage of this, though, over things like the Shure and the pod mic, is it's a shotgun-based approach, right? So we can talk with it off the screen, where everyone that's got that Shure, you'll see them like this, and they'll be up on it like this, talking onto it like this, because it has to. It works like an area of effect, and you have to talk inside this bubble for it to hear you. Where these things, they are like a cone, and
it depends on the type of mic. So for end on, they're certainly you're speaking to the end. Others are bass on, so you're talking to the front. Rode has a series of mics that are similar to that, and so you just got to look at what's there. But yeah, I do like I think the key thing you need if you're going to start streaming is a good mic.
E-Tech says, I just use a conference table mic and yell as loud as I want.
Yeah, well, you can do that too. But yeah, you get yourself a good mic. One of the things I think we learned early on is people will cope with bad lighting or even bad
camera, but
bad camera.
audio they will not put up.
But audio,
yeah,
you'll constantly get hassled for.
Yeah,
constantly get hassled. And if you look at our chat, we'll often get, oh, I can't hear X, oh, Al's crap, and constantly that talk on audio is
even last week someone asked us to turn it up, didn't they? So
yeah, so that's the key thing. Now I do have a Streamer X. It's almost it's less than 6 months old, and so I've been now doing this 7-8 years, and
that was the first. I think that was the first real big upgrade that you've got. But we've upgraded you with a few things in the last 12 months. We got you, so he's got an old desk, so we had to get him a thing that goes up and over so he could install all this stuff on it. So now we got him new lights. You got the new mic. What else did we get you? Stand.
Oh,
something else as well. But yeah.
We've added lights.
Camera's the next one because your camera's
the next one. Really. Like I'm using the entry level SLR camera basically. So the Canon Mark II. Great camera.
You got to use special software to get it to work properly too, don't you?
But you need third party software to get it working right. It is an entry level camera. It's great for what it does.
Yeah.
But if you want to, if you're serious about doing it, then you really do want to move forward. But in answer to that question, no, you don't need the Rode podcast. The Rodecaster is a great tool.
Actually, I agree with.
But if you're streaming,
I agree with Jacob. Better internet needs to be the next for Algared. Absolutely, he's getting. So what they've worked out is it's apparently one of the nodes for the NBN on his street, and that is out of his control. He's just got to wait till they turn up to fix it, and that could be 6 to 12 months. I shit you not. They're really bad at that stuff. So yeah, hopefully that happens sooner rather than later. Hey, Void Dude. Hey, nice to see you, man.
Yeah, nice to see you. But I'd go, like, if I'm looking at, I did look at considering the Rodecaster. Rodecaster is not necessarily the best tool if you're streaming. I actually think something like the Streamer X would probably be better because the Streamer X has a jack for your mic, has a place for your camera, and so it can do both your capture card and your mic on the one tool.
Well, I think
the Rodecaster, on the other hand, it's basically for conference calls. So it's got jacks for mic, or the ability to have a phone call come in.
I think if you talk to any content creator, they'll tell you sometimes less is more. So having too many controls can be too much. So yeah, like I got the Go XLR because at the time that was the best one to get. But I'm telling you now, I don't use 90% of what it's capable of. Right? I basically use it to set the volume for different things, and I mute myself, and that's about it. I basically use 5 buttons on the entire thing. I don't really change off a preset. It's overkill for me. So something like that Streamer X would be much better for me. Yeah. But I'm not going to go out and buy it when I've already got one. So. And
for me, getting the Streamer X was not to really use all the buttons. It's got smart buttons as well. And it's got an ability you can use it for presentations and stuff. Yeah. But I specifically got it so that I could plug the mic in and the camera in and actually reduce the number of peripherals that were going into the computer.
It's a weird
that was really my thinking.
It's a weird little build for that. I'm just reading what Expat's saying. She uses it when she's traveling. There's actually this guy that's made a modified version of it that has a battery pack, the Streamer X, and a screen, and he gets it all to work portably. And I'll see if I can find it. It's kind of crazy how he gets it all built. Anyway.
But that's the advantage of a Streamer X over, say, a Rodecaster. It's as big as my hand. It's as big as that. So it's very portable in that regard. But yeah, all that other stuff is stuff that, for me, the Streamer X is not necessary. It was a quality of life improvement.
Yeah.
The mic, on the other hand, that's what you really need. You want to make sure you've got a good mic. But yeah, so Yeah, I hope that answered the question, Pastor. I know it's yeah.
Once you get content creators start talking about equipment, we'll kind of jump on it because we don't get a chance to talk about it very much. So
Yeah,
kind of
we
open a can of
can
worms. If you want to know more, reach out to any content creator that covers Star System. I'm sure they'll help you. Most of us will anyway. I can't think of anyone that wouldn't really off the top of my head.
I think the one thing I would say is if you've got a choice on your mic, go something that's not USB. Because I think you do end up getting better quality from that.
It ends up limiting you, and it also makes you beholden to their software. When you go through XLR, you get more options essentially.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway. Right. Next question, please, Algared.
Next question is from Evan Hubbard. I was kind of mixing your name up, but Evan Hubbard said, how big do you think the largest hangar you can stay in will be? How many small, medium, large cap ships can you fit in one hangar? If I go back to the original hangars they had, you could actually go into the code and make it so you could fit every ship in. And so people would get a PT. They actually developed the PTV specifically for the hangars. I'm sure you remember. Because people were taking 5-10 minutes to run down to the end of their hangars. And so they literally brought in the PTV to aid us getting around our hangars. And then they put in the PTV obstacle course. But yeah, the PTV was literally just our in-house hangar.
I think they've kind of moved away from that really big hangar going out type thing. It seems to make a lot more sense from if you think about it, like, you know how they got too big and you could just, like, they're almost endlessly long. That creates a lot of issues and stuff like that. I think if you can just have one ship and you go in and you pull it out, it's got much better performance issues. And it makes a lot more sense because it will, to me, it would be akin to the elevators, right? If you could actually have it so that you walk into it and it's your hangar, and that's the size of the hangar that you've purchased. So say you buy a capital size one, that's your hangar, and it kind of takes the ship out and brings the ship back in. That might be a bit different. We'll have to see how they do it, but I would like it that the ship somehow is a bit like cargo, where it's, you know, picked up by a tractor beam and taken out almost like a crane style and then brought back in and dropped off.
I would imagine that they'll make all player hangars cap size in terms of the space the ships they can take, but it'll be one ship at a time type thing they'll do, just so that they don't have to worry about updating us when we suddenly get to a cap ship. Now, that's your speculation.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I think it's going to be more as one ship per, you know, you summon a ship into a hangar or maybe 2 small ships, but they're going to limit it like they did with the second generation of the hangars, you know, when we had the 2 or 3 landing pads where you could do 3 landing ships, or, you know, 3 small ships, or 2 medium ships, or 1 cap ship. It'll be that type of setup.
Hangars as a whole is probably one of the biggest things that are up in the air because it's so hard to predict where it's going to go, because they've said quite a many things over years. Like, are we still going to get VFG Industrial, Revel York, Safeland, Aeroview? And at the moment, the only one in game is Aeroview, right? So does that mean I can eventually go to Hurston and there will be Revel and York at Hurston? There will be Safeland at Hurston. Will I be able to get a large capital Safeland? Am I limited by the quality of the one? So if I buy a Safeland, it only goes up to, say, medium, right? Like, what are the restrictions of those? We don't know any of that stuff because it's never ever been talked about, right? And by the same thing as if I buy, can I buy different size ones, or is it just I buy it and it scales to the size of the ship I have? Like, none of this has really been kind of talked about, and I just kind of want to know where that's going to go. But eventually, there's too many questions there, and I think they don't know at this point. I think it's probably a little bit, you know, they leave things vague. I think they've left it vague because they don't know how.
Vague because they don't know where it's going. And
exactly.
But if I was guessing, I think they'll just make it's a single size because they don't want to. I hope they don't make it so the hangar scales to the size of ship we're pulling out, because that to me is that's kind of immersion breaking. If my building changes every time I go to my hangar just because of the ship I've got, that doesn't seem right. But if I make it that they're all the same and can take the largest ship in game that, spawns in a hangar, then that would be at least there, and then it's just a matter of whether it's a super luxurious one or a workers type one. But yeah, pure speculation. Can't tell you. It's a. I did see a comment in chat talking going back to the mic because XLR versus the USB plugs and Fox Creative Gaming was saying he went XLR mics and found it really improved his audio, and I think that's true. I know your audio seemed to pick up when you went XLR. So yeah.
It's all about setting it up. Like yours will get better every time. Like even now though, I'm hearing you cut out slightly sometimes. So you got to work on you got to work on your gate and stuff like that.
I got to work on my gate a little bit, and also if I look down, then when I'm talking downwards, I'm not talking more at the shotgun aspect. So it's just a matter of getting used to that as well. So Gem Pastor has another question.
Yep.
How will the Ranger work if we have no roads?
We're getting roads eventually. It'll just be on plain boring ground for now. And I think in some ways, like, how do I put this? I actually hope there are more bikes like the Ranger, because there's something about them all being hover bikes where it's the same thing with the Cyclone, right? When you got your tanks, there's something about them being grounded that ties them to our time, where when you have the hover bikes and that, they feel a bit like a ship, they don't feel like a vehicle. There is a slight disconnect. Yeah.
I think we'll certainly get roads. We know they're getting roads. I think roads will use almost identical tech to what they use with rivers. It'll just be, instead of a riverbed, you'll have a road, and you'll have the same type of stuff formed on the sides of the road. And but I'd like to see more variation in the vehicles. I'd love to see a kettle grad, kind of a bike / tracked vehicle. I'd love to see those, just for more variation in the types of. I think we'll see things as they come. Ray, that's a question. Sounds like you've been watching too much Viva Dirt League. Ray has a question, and he says, when do you think we're going to be able to rent or buy the Vulture or Reclaim?
Isn't the Vulture already in game to buy? Or am I mistaken? Let me look that up. It was already in.
Yeah, it might be dependent on where you are. I know that certain ships are available at certain locations.
And I'm pretty sure the Reclaimer's in as well. I remember it being 15 mil. So
you might be able to buy it, but you may not be able to rent it yet. That could be an issue.
New deal for
it's available.
So the Vulture says here, new deal for 1,264,000 at new deal. That's to buy it outright. And let me look for the Reclaimer. Quick. 2 seconds. Papers Reclaimer. There it is. Stanton, Hurston, New Deal. So they're both available from New Deal, and it's 15 million.
What can I say? 15, what can I say? It's Person Dynamics coming to the party for you.
Yeah, so 15,126,000 for that. But they're both purchasable. They're not rentable. Yeah. So yeah, but that's why they're not rentable, because they want you to hopefully buy them instead of renting them. But yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. I think the Vulture at the very least should be rentable, much like the Prospector. So hopefully down the line they fix that. But again, priorities, they are working on lots of different things at the moment. But as they move over to Star Citizen, I think we'll see a lot of little creature comes, especially this year. That's a big thing. So,
yeah, I think we'll ultimately see all the starter ships. Will end up, all those beginner type level ships will be rentable, because they're the type of ones to get you in the game. Try out that profession.
I just want to show this, by the way. I don't know if any of you guys have seen this. It's called Item Finder, or Cornerstone Item Finder. It is one of the best tools in the entire game, in my opinion. you can just find anything anywhere. The cost of weapons, anything like that. So you no longer need to go to wikis. It's just all here, and it's got every single item. They update it fairly quickly. Everything from even paints and skins and everything. So if you're looking for something in game, this is what I use. And I actually got shown this by butchering his name. Damn. Dig That 32 showed this to me, and I've been using it ever since. So yeah, it's fantastic. It's one, and it needs more recognition. It's not something that's talked about nearly enough. And I put it this way, I use this more than I use Urkel. Put it that way. So this is the #1 tool that I reckon I use outside the game. So yeah. Anyway.
Yep.
Right. Next question, Algared. If you want to read the next one.
Our next question is from Birchie or Birdie or Budgie, who says Budgie. Who says, I forgot the code on how to ask a question. If you just put question in your question, it will come up.
Yeah.
So
no. He's talking to me directly because I deleted a couple of messages that him and I were going back and forwards on. But yeah, that's fine. Yeah, so you can all those two.
But it's a good question. It's a good thing to talk about.
Yeah.
If you have a question, all you need to do, you don't need to worry about question asterisk or question exclamation mark. All you need to do is a question appear in your question, and it will get dragged out and shoved into our bot. Whether it's on YouTube or Twitch.
All right, Parker XGPS says, how much better would the Xeno threat be at the jump point location? That'd be kind of cool. Maybe it'll move to that down the road. But like Horizon at the moment, they keep trying to patch it and it's just not working. Because it's just we're right on the cusp of that, like server meshing and stuff coming in, and I know they want it to be a thing, but it's just not going to be a thing until they get that performance down. Because the frame rate, people like, especially a lot of the new people, they will not put up with the 20 frames per second. They just won't. They're like, what is this performance shit? And they're out.
Yeah, well, you even look at the Squadron 42 video, and people were saying the frame rate sucks.
Yeah,
that was probably the biggest criticism I saw of that video. Frame rate sucks.
Yeah,
it's a crappy frame rate. How can they dare do this? And you're looking, hey, it's
gamers don't understand and they don't care. They just want it to work. You can give them every excuse under the sun. Oh, it'll be fixed next week. I had a friend looking at the game during AIE and it ran like dog shit. He brought it into the game and he's like, I'm not going to play it until it's out now. And he goes, it just ran like shit, and I don't want to go back and have that experience again. I'm like, but it's running real, like, and you saw Christmas patch, smooth as a baby's ass. Still wouldn't go back and try it. So he had a bad first impression, and that's all it took. And he won't come out till it releases now. So yeah, that's it.
But in terms of Xeno threat, I could see it being one of the stages of Xeno threat. So we get the warning, hey, they've attacked. Yeah. And so we're now defending, we're defending. And then the last stage, when they're being pushed back, we're kind of at the jump point. So I could see that being a stage of...
I'd go even further, Algared. Like knowing where this game is going, why not go right back into Pyro? Push them right back, like
a dynamic combat. Whereas if we push them back, we're fighting. It becomes defend Xeno. The Xeno threat guys are saying, hey, help us defend the jump point.
Multiple outcomes depend on what objectives get completed in what order and how well they're completed and stuff like that. So it can always have a different outcome and response. And that is how you get things to you don't want to ever do the same event and it's just the same outcome. And we know that's where they're planning to go down the road, so we'll see.
Yeah, have that ability. So, with the UEE are defending Stanton, and if I fail, then it becomes, the independent companies lose control of their
well, they could literally get a foothold in that station, and then it could start to spread. And it's like, it goes from like this one event to like a 1 month thing trying to get them back through the jump point.
Yeah, and then vice versa if the UEE push into.
Yeah. UAE pushing in and then pushing the UAE back. Yeah. Right. Next question. Admiral Kusani says, what type of ships do you feel we need when we talk about fleet operations, aka World of Warships, etc.? And can those ships be scaled down for smaller groups? So he's talking about fleet operations. What types of ships do you feel we need when we talk about fleet operations? And what can those ships be scaled down for small orgs? Well, realistically, if you actually look at World of Warships, there's only, what, 4 different types? Destroyers, subs, battleships, and cruisers. That's it. So they're kind of limited. And again, you know, it depends where you come at from different games too, because like I can just go attackers, defenders, utility, industrial, logistic as well. And World of Warships doesn't take logistics into account at all, as an example. So yeah, can they be scaled down for smaller orgs? I think we have smaller ships for smaller orgs. And I think you can do things like the Kraken to change and support smaller ships as well. I don't know, Agard, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, look, would I be talking a small org getting a javelin? No. I think the javelin is really that big org raid.
Yeah.
But a smaller org may be able to do a Polaris or an Idris, and I think that's the type of thing you're doing. I think it also depends on the org. If the org's not into combat, then why would they want a javelin, an Idris, or a Polaris? But they might, if they're mining, then they might want the Orion or the Reclaimers or.
Well, let's look at that javelin as an example real quick. That essentially, if you look at like the way World of Warcraft worked on the weekends, is when the raids happen, right? So that's when that ship's going to see the action. So that means 5 days of the week that thing's sitting there, being maintained for the other 2.
Yeah.
That's essentially like, and I know you can probably think different to that, but people are a thing, right? And people go to work and then they come home on the weekends, right? That's most people, right? So there'll be the other people that, you know, are at home and they've got the free time. They'll do all the economic stuff during the week, and yeah, there'll be a little bit of combat there too, but the lion's share of it will be on the weekend, and that's where you'll need the people for that bigger ship. And so that bigger ship is going to have to be maintained, looked after, and protected for 5 days, which is kind of nuts if you think about it. It's if it was 50-50, you could kind of get behind it, but like you're going to really want that javelin for the weekends to justify the other 5 days you look after it, is what I'm trying to get at.
I think it really comes down to, if you look at MMOs, when the raids run. You do have those raids that run, you know, the main raid times of the weekend, but I know World of Warcraft and Daok, there'd be raids that ran every day. And every day, you know, every day in the afternoon when I get home from work, there'd be raids running.
My point is the really big things.
Yeah, but those raids would be certainly smaller and not as often. There might be 1 or 2 raids on the weekend you'd get.
Yeah, you're reinforcing my point though, right? Like only the really big orgs are going to want a javelin that they are constantly using, right? Yeah. And then you put the size of the universe and the travel costs and the distance it's got to move and things like that. You can start to. My point I'm getting at is it's a sinkhole, right? And you have to have people to back that. And I'm just using that. I know you think I'm picking on the javelin. I'm just trying to use this as an example, right?
You're picking on the big ship. And I get that. You know, those big ships are made for and geared for raids.
Yeah.
But like it's Javelin, Idris, and Polaris even falls into that category. Yep. I even think that the Kraken falls into that category as well.
Absolutely. But I think certain ones are tailored at other things more than others. So, for example, well, I think you'd agree with me. Something like a Kraken is probably going to get more daily use than a javelin, and I think it'll be more common than a javelin because of that reason. Just like the Polaris will be more common because of its size.
You look at the crew count.
Yeah,
the crew count will tell you how often it's going to be used. 80 people on a javelin, 80 player space on a javelin, as opposed to say 12 or 15 on an Idris or a you know, or a Kraken or a Polaris. You know, I think the closest to the Polaris, to the javelin at the moment is like 30, and then you got 80. Like, of course, it's going to be totally different, but you know, it's.
Things are changing over time too. Like in one of our that video we did for Luna Maria recently, we got a couple of people in the comments talking about they've updated the cargo on a lot of those ships, and I didn't know that. It was not an announced thing; it just happened. So the MSR, the Corsair, and the Connie all have different cargoes now, but they were all 96 the last time you and I looked at them, and they've all been updated now. So the MSR's gone up. Like I think it's like 114. The Corsair's gone down to like 72, and the Connie stayed where it was. So that's again, you know, for the longest time they've just kind of chucked them in game and let them sit there, and now they're coming back and making them more individual. And I reckon that'll happen with the bigger ships too.
And the Connie does need further adjustment because the Phoenix, I think, should be about 72 SCU of cargo, because 96 takes it right up to the roof of the regulars because of a floor. It needs to be about 72, and I think if you put 72 SU of cargo in it, the top layer actually still peeks through the floor, and so I think that the cargo on the Phoenix will be slightly less than that. But and I think the Phoenix was always supposed to have less, and the Taurus was always supposed to have more.
Kind of makes sense.
The Taurus with the extra, the others have all got 96, and
bit of give and take.
So yeah, it's things are changing or will change. But yeah. Tom Van Duren has a question.
Yep.
Did you guys hear any updates on the work that is done for the Miss Freelancer component bays and the small things they would do on the Starfarer? Thanks for the content.
So in that medium ship video we talked about, we actually went into the back of the Freelancer, and it actually does show off that they've redone the component bays in the back of the Freelancer. So that's pretty simple. You can see it yourself if you get in game. I'm sure you can find pictures or videos around from anyone. And then as for the Starfarer, the last thing we heard is they want to work on it, but they haven't really gone into any more detail.
I know the Starfarer is a dog's breakfast and a rabbit warren. I kind of like and hate that. I like that it is a rabbit warren. I like that it. I'd been on one of those container ships. A friend of mine when I was at uni, his brother was in port, took us on a tour. And my sister talked about working on passenger liners. And the passenger liners, great vast areas, but then going to crew areas, and the corridors were narrow and short. And on the cargo ship, you go down the steps, and the steps are like this going down in the behind the scenes areas. But and I think that's the type of thing. But I like on the Starfarer. The Starfarer had that sense of those narrow corridors and everything else. But it was a horrible ship to try and navigate and fly. It was an FPS level.
It is the only ship left in the game that has crawl spaces. So, they're all going to go because of the way AI works now. That was mainly taken out for AI. You can kind of tell. But you take those spaces out, you make it so it's a lot easier to get to the actual top, because it's a real roundabout to get up there at the moment. You got to go up flight of stairs, then a mini elevator. You just want stairs all the way up, or you want an elevator all the way up. Not a combo of both. But yeah, the bottom part of the ship is fine. It's just that bit at the top, the last two levels that need a fix.
But they'll fix it. But yeah. 19 Crossbone. 85 says, what manufacturer would you love to see make a medium-large salvage ship between Vulture and Reclaimer? How would you adjust the salvaging capabilities for that new?
So I think technically it is the size of a large with capital components. So yes, theoretically we could get a large and a medium, but at the moment I think we're more likely, you tell me if you think different, I think we're more likely just to get a medium.
Yeah,
I'd love to be wrong, because then that's more ships. I always come back to Consolidated Outland with a lot of stuff, right? We don't have a lot of ships from them, and we don't have a lot of large ships, period, right? And I keep coming back to them again and again because they have so few. What are they at? 3 now in total? And that's not counting variants, obviously. But yeah, they're out on the fringes. They would need stuff like that, and if you look at the names of things like the Nomad, the Pioneer, and the Mustang, they're all kind of that, Elon Musk type of thing. He's going to Mars, you can see it pretty readily that, I don't know what they would call it, the Scrapper or the I'm sure they'll think it's something. the hyena or whatever, like some kind of weird name that goes along. The X, there we go. We'll just call it the X. That solves it. The X.
The X. I think Elon Musk must have a thing for X.
He does.
Space, and then he's changed. He's changed Twitter to X. It's like
almost every company he's owned at some point had an X in it.
So he's got a fetish for X.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
One of the funny things that came out is the models of the cars he made a Model S, a Model X, and then he wanted to make a Model E, but Ford has a Model, or I think it was Ford had a Model E, so they wouldn't let him make a Model E, so he changed it to a Model 3. E backwards. Because he wanted it to say sex. That's literally what he came out in an interview and said. Pretty funny. Very, very mature, but that's what he wanted to do.
I think that's what he did. It's got X on the brain.
Yeah, probably. Well, he was dating Amber Heard for a while. That's all you need to know. Yeah.
Well.
Thank you, Blue Rage 77, for that Happy New Year greeting. First time chatter on Twitch. Right, next one, Algared. Rip says, do you think we will get a 16 and 32 SU container we can drop in our ships now that we have 1 to 8 SU in our hands? Yeah, that's obviously right around the corner. Yep. And that was another one thing that came out of that episode we did on a couple of days ago, is cargo is going to be a big thing this year. That and the economy is really obviously stuff that's going to really boom this year. Anything from you, Algared, on that front?
No. Good. Bertie says, I have a cheap mic. Would you like to pull me into chat in order to hear the quality?
No, I would not. We've had our fair share of mics and stuff, but yeah, I believe you. My favorite one is the ones that have all the kids running around in the background and they sound like they're at the zoo. They're my favorite ones.
Go away, son, you bother me.
Or they're from some country where they have animals everywhere and you can hear a rooster every 5 seconds. They're my favorites. If I ever hear a rooster in a microphone again, it'll be too soon. Right.
Yeah.
Tom Van Dawson says, question, Algared talks about warranty. I'm thinking what would be used in-game in SC by manufacturers. Is there any info or law about this? Example, what if your ship breaks down within the warranty? We don't know about anything about. We've got insurance, but not warranty.
We've got ship insurance.
That could be a really cool thing. What if they changed it to warranty?
Yeah.
So when you buy a ship for the first X amount of time, it's covered by a warranty. Now, there's something that I've never, ever heard anyone ever bring up.
Yeah,
it's a great idea.
I don't think we've ever heard anything on warranty.
Yeah.
I can't recall. I imagine, it's some there. I do expect we'll see some point where we'll be able to do insure the components of our ships. So do the extra warranty, the extended warranty, or the extended insurance, contents insurance, if you like. And I suppose insurance is in essence our warranty. It's but it's not the same, is it?
It's just done in a different way. But no, again, that could be really cool. Certain manufacturers have a warranty, certain ones don't. That could be a differentiating factor. Like you could get two manufacturers that almost seem the same, but one have a better warranty than the other, and that would just be a really cool way to differentiate purchasing decisions as well. And maybe you pay more to get a warranty, maybe you don't. I don't know. So maybe something to look at in the future.
It's like when you look at the mics and my love affair with Rode, it was the warranty that actually made me say, yeah, I'm going for the Rode.
Careful, Luna Maria is going to get jealous if you say that anymore.
But but you know what I mean. Like it was, I wanted to get Australian because I'm Australian, but it was that warranty that really sold me. Yeah, it's an expensive product, but that warranty, I'm getting it because it works out.
Well, I can think of several companies like that they let their warranties do it. What was it? Herman Miller has a 25-year warranty on their chairs. Like that's insane. It's pretty funny when you turn around and go, my chair is older than you are. Like my t-shirt. What's that old meme? My t-shirt. I got t-shirts older than you, kid.
Yeah. So,
all right, thank you.
The warranty does make sense. Yeah.
Lupo, thank you for the subscription with the Prime. Appreciate it. Right. Next question, over.
Justin Husserman says, which industry game loop is most likely next for 2024? Repair or refining? I think watch the video. It's coming out shortly.
That's the short answer. The long answer, it's kind of going to be what's required, but honestly, they're both really good options, and I couldn't actually. The one that I would lean to because it's more likely in is repair. We don't, but refining's there as well, right? So
Mm.
we don't have the unique gameplay of refining though, where we kind of have the tools of repair, and it's really just the opposite of the refining. So there is probably more of the repair stuff there than there is
But,
refining in my book. So
and there's certainly more they can go into with repair.
yeah,
With certainly as they bring in
you
the
get more for your
power
money.
nodes.
You get more for your money doing repair than you would refining,
Well,
so to speak.
and as we go into those nodes, like
Mm.
there's going to be more things to repair, not just the components, but also
Yeah.
those other points
Yeah.
on the ship. So there's a lot more area
Weapons,
they can develop on that aspect.
weapons, armors, ships, vehicles, where refining is just that niche of, yeah. But yeah, I think you get more for your money developing repair than developing refining. But I don't think refining's that far after that, to be
No,
honest with you. So yeah, it's a tough call, but yeah, I'd go repair if I was betting. What about you, Algared?
I think I'd go repair. Certainly, as the
Mm.
thing that offers more gameplay loops or more gameplay options. But I also see refining as tying and finishing off, if you like, both mining and salvage.
Mm.
And so, like you said, yeah, I could see either. So,
Yeah. Next question.
Araxa says, Did you guys see the rumor DLSS is allegedly coming in 3.22? I hope that's true.
Yeah, is it DLSS 2? Because they're having trouble with DLSS 3.
I just said DLSS.
Yeah, DLSS 2 is coming, not 3, because they're having major problems with 3. It's what I heard. So yeah.
Capitia Plays has a question. How do you think the hangars, like the Freefly hangar versus others, more desirable hangars, work in PU? Is it still legacy hangar from the past, or do you think it's PU representation of a future? I think part of that is down the future. They did talk originally, the location you were to the city would indicate the price of the hangars. And I imagine Hurston, if you wanted to be in Hurston Tower, you would be buying a Rivel and York style hangar. Whereas if you're out in the sticks, out on the border near the gates, you might be getting a safe land hangar. So I think it's going to depend on that, and that'll also be very similar to housing in other games, where the small house is cheaper, the larger house has a higher cost and a higher maintenance cost, and you'll see the same. So
I'm the other way. I haven't heard enough either way to kind of determine to me which way that's going to go. But yeah, what Algred says is pretty sound. It's just got to, for me, it's I don't know. I just want some more clarity. I want some official answers, so to speak. There isn't enough to say which one way or the other for me.
Yeah, well, it was a how do you think?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I must have missed the start.
So, in that sense, yeah. How did it fit with the legacy stuff? Don't know. We'll have to just wait and see.
Well, I think if you go,
I think they've stopped selling hangars with ships anyway. So
I think if you go out farther enough to Outpost, it won't even be a hangar; it'll just be a pad because it's too expensive for for the size or whatever. So I think pads are going to be a thing, but in less utilized locations. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, and I think the places they want, I think players' bases will certainly go for that.
Yeah.
Underground hangar just so it works. But yeah, most places I think we'll have to wait and see. Etc. Or call a marina and ask how much to store your boat. First question is, how big is it? Yeah. Yeah, I think that's more a statement. If you call a boating marina and say, "Hey, I want to store my boat,"
I think that's them talking to somebody else, and it's just being picked up because it's got a question in it.
Oh, I think they're picking up that hangar talk. How big what size hangars are we going to have? Small, medium, large, and they say, well, you call up a marina and say, "Hey, I want to store my boat."
But they say boat, not ship. Anyway.
Yeah, so they're talking about you call in modern day, you call up a marina, you say, how big's, I want to storm a boat. And the question they answer them back is, how big's your boat? That's going to tell us how big the wharfage area we need to give you. So I think it's tying into that whole discussion on how big the hangars will be. And in a real world, that'd be the case. They'd say, well, how big's your ship? What space do you need for your ship? But if I was building a game for players and I don't want to keep changing the size of the hangar, I'd just say, right, biggest ship in game that they could possibly buy is this one. That's the size of the hangar they're going to be. And then then I'll work something out.
All right, next question.
Like the old hangars used to have 3, the last generation we saw of hangars where they had 3 slots and you could put 1 large ship, 3 small ships, or 2 medium ships.
All right, Parker XGPS says, talking about mics may help question pile up. Right, okay. So that was a statement.
Yep, it certainly did.
North End Trooper says, do you think COG will open the API for data gathering for item ships and cargo hauling again? I do think that'll be shop improvements is on the cards from CitizenCon. So yeah, I think something to that nature. I think we are moving to a more dynamic economy this year. So even going to outposts, what they have there will change and fluctuate. And if you sell something there, someone may come there and buy it, things like that. So I think we are moving to that slowly towards that. And I think we'll see the first steps towards that this year, hopefully.
Yep. So Shem Pastor asked a question. Did this question show up in questions? And the answer is yes. So Fox Creative Gaming has a question. Do you think the Nautilus is one of the ships showed off in CitizenCon to be worked on?
I'll let you answer that one.
No, I think that's referring to that sheet of yellow ships. And do we think the Nautilus is among them?
No, it's not. The ship that you would consider to be the Nautilus is way too small.
Yeah. So you look at that. You look at that graph of those yellow ships. Look at the person, because that person is there to give an indication of size. So I don't think it's a Nautilus there at all. Next question is from O. Did you see the clip of a guy having a conversation with an NPC in the game? Don't know which game. Using AI for the NPC. Yes. If I introduce it to Star Citizen, it will be amazing.
He wasn't the one I saw wasn't an NPC, but it was like working like Voice Attack or Emily or something like that. So it was he had used 2 other services, but it was essentially like ChatGPT but built for Star Citizen.
Yeah.
And basically he could just say I can't remember what he called it. He had a name for it, but like he would just go, computer, turn on my ship, and it would just turn on my ship. Hey, computer, like he just knew what to do. It was so well done. It's the best of voice thing I'd ever seen. But it was free to use, and I can't remember the name of it, but it required 2 services, and one of them was paid for. But again, if Star Citizen can grab onto this stuff, it could be a thing in the future where it is just all integrated. We are moving into an AI era. I think anyone of us that is living into would be living denial at this point if we didn't think we're moving into an AI era. Like I watch a lot of YouTube videos on different subjects, and one of the ones that I am amazed to find, and I'm sure a lot of you already know this, but there may be someone out there that doesn't know this. Google has been using things like DeepMind and that previously, and ChatGPT and Bard and all that. They're still doing it, and they're finding new things, but they've actually found new mathematical equations, new algorithms. They've also found new types of materials. So for example, one of the ones they're using in rocketry is this, what the hell is the name of it? It's a new form of copper that's mixed with other stuff. And so it's like copper, but it goes to a much higher temperature, and they're using it in 3D printing algorithm. Excuse me. And so, they're doing that metal 3D printing with the kind of dust where they put down the metal and the dust at the same time. And they're now able to build NASA's testing these new, what's the name of it? It's, as the engine, it kind of like rotates an explosion around the nozzle. I can't remember what the name of it is. I've just forgotten it off the top of my head. But essentially it uses the same amount of fuel but it has more thrust. So they're discovering all these new things through AI just by putting them through models, because where you and I as humans would have to go out and test and alliterate, they can virtually test and alliterate all this stuff and find the conclusions by just testing every single one of them, where we couldn't do that before. The video is Inforunners Buyer's Guide. Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Drago Talon says, do you think we will ever get a command and control ship to direct fleet engagement? Yes. Ships have that ability.
Well, the Hornet Tracker is one that comes to mind for me.
Hornet Tracker has that ability. Literally sold as the ability to coordinate a squadron. The Javelin has it. I think even the Carrot kind of has an element of it. I think one of the things that is undersold on the 890 jump is it's got a similar type of radar dome. How will it work on that? Good thing. The Constellation was always sold as having a module you could put in, which would enable you to do command and control. So yes, we will get them. What they will end up looking like, or whether they're individual ships or components on ships, is yet to be seen. But we'll certainly get them because it's something CIG have wanted.
I very quickly looked up the name of that because it was bogging me. The shorthand version is an RDRE, but what it stands for is a rotating detonation rocket engine. That's what they call it. Sorry, I had to look it up because it looks...
Because it was stuck on your mind.
Well, I don't know if you remember the Aerospike engine that they had for years. They used that, and then they threw it out because it was too expensive. They're going back to this one, which is also an Aerospike. And the massive advantage is, even if you look at what SpaceX is doing, they have a bell-shaped design for in-atmosphere, and then they have a bell-shaped design for space. You don't need that with an Aerospike because it actually self-corrects itself. So it has massive advantages because you're cutting the weight down of the entire aircraft, because instead of having two sets of everything, you can just have one. Anyway, again, it'll change the industry, and it's all thanks to AI. That's the full circle I want to come to. So I want to give one example of where it's really revolutionizing, and if you think it's not going to change everything, like even if you think about it, and some people haven't realized this, is the Google and Alexa speakers that we use now. That is a robot. That's a robot without arms and legs.
Yep.
And no face. It's just, that's what it is. It's the start of robots. If you don't think they're coming in and taking over, you are behind the times.
I know it's going. I got to be careful because Siri hates me.
Yeah. Well,
I'll ask Siri to ring someone and she'll just ignore me.
Back in the early 2000s, they actually predicted we would have sentient AI by 2030. And the speed that think about what we're seeing in the last couple of years, like going from the speakers in, 2015, around there, to now we've actually got AI that you can actually sit down and communicate with, and it articulates where you're at. I think we're pretty close to that without the body, is what I'm trying to get at, right?
Yeah.
And we're now seeing weird apps like people that are having full-on relationships with phone apps and stuff, and bizarre stuff like that, right? So the next, they're creating images, they're speeding up our games, they're speeding up they're putting DNA sequencings and stuff all together, all the things I've mentioned already. It's just taking that now, putting it in a body. The body is a big step, but again, we've got 6 years to do the body. And again, Tesla's got one. We know that, what's that? What's the ones that always does the dancing robots? Can't remember the name, but those Boston Dynamics is what they're called. And then we know that Google bought out a couple of companies as well. So again, you got certain companies that have been working on the body all this time. Imagine if you took Boston Dynamics and put like ChatGPT in it. It's not that far away, and they got six
Dynamics. And I think of the dogs.
They got 6 years to do that.
Yeah.
They've got 6 years to just take that and put it in that, and it's there. And I don't think that's going to take 6 years. I think we're not far. But it was meant to be sentient AI by 2030. So the start of the Matrix begins in 2030.
Skynet.
Yeah, Skynet.
Skynet is going to take over, yes. Beware.
Yeah, so...
I've got to be, Skynet will come for me, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You
will be terminated.
Yeah.
Hostile intent.
Yeah, the Daleks are coming. The purple box are coming and get. Yep.
All right. Well, the best photo you can make with ChatGPT of Algared being taken out by Arnold Schwarzenegger. I reckon that would be funny.
Yeah, Spider-Man,
Yeah.
not Spider-Man, Daleks, Cybermen. Yeah, I'm done. They're going to come and get me. Fred Eric Schultz says, yes, CIG has pretty much settled on the ship categories we know about. But if you could add one, not tied to planned gameplay, what categories of ship would you introduce to the game?
That's really tough because you'd be going into your own, I guess that's what they are asking, isn't it? Your own opinion.
Included a lot. We've got survey ships, we've got salvage ships, we've got tow ships, we've got troop ships, we've got.
I guess we technically have one of this, but I think it might be worth expanding. And I know it's going to sound a bit weird when I say this, and I'm going to say it in a weird way, but I'm going to say entertainment. And the ship I'm thinking of is the Mako.
Yeah.
Right? But wouldn't it be really cool? And you and I talked about this with the auditorium on the 890 jump, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be really cool if you could have like a showmanship? So basically, it turns up like one of those old puppet shows from the 18 to 1900s, and you could do puppets, you could do a comic relief, you could do karaoke, you could do whatever the hell you want. Now, I think that's probably already included in some other ships, but imagine if you could turn up and have your own little film stage and do a content creator show, or you could just do, you just want to play a musical instrument or whatever, like artisans in Star Wars Galaxies is where I'm starting to lean into, if you get my drift. And I know that there are some people that really got into that in Star Wars Galaxies.
Yeah, well, I know with not Star Wars Online, Lord of the Rings Online, you could learn, you get the instrument and you could actually learn how to play the instrument, and people would go to a town square and they'd sit there and play their instruments, and some people are really woeful at it, and some people are really good, and I think you'll see that type of thing. But entertainment ships, we've got the Mako, but we don't really have anything else.
Conventia Players in Twitch says food ships. Yeah, shop ships are coming. They are definitely coming, and me and I have talked about this at length. We think it's one of the categories they're going to have more ships than you expect. So you know how traditionally you only get one, as in like so you look at repair, you get one in every size category. When you actually start to look at shop ships, you need more than one, because you've also got to look at different tech levels. So, for example, if you have a high design ship, so Origin or another high design company, Origin's just the obvious one, you wouldn't want to put a taco truck in an Origin ship. That leans more towards, and I'm going to use the obvious one, Drake, but it could also be Consulted Outland or whatever. So I think you're almost looking, and I wouldn't say always at the top end as well, but again, I think at the very low end, I think there's at least 3 ships there, wouldn't you say? 3 singular shop ships. So like a taco truck, something like a high-end boutique, and then something in the middle. Oh, I think I lost him. I thought he was just sitting really still. Nope, I lost him. Right. And then I think as you go up, it's probably going to become less and less required, because
we have a restaurant ship.
So go ahead, Algared.
Yep. So Brandon Dallin says restaurant ships.
Yeah.
And we actually have a restaurant ship. It's the 890 jump. It has a massive restaurant in it. And a full, and you go downstairs, it's got a full-on kitchen.
But by the same token, this is the question: are all shops going to be the same size? That's the other thing. So right now we've got a privateer that has 10 shops in it. We've got a abandoned merchantman that's got 3 shops in it. But then as soon as you go down and you become smaller and smaller, like I can see a direct competitor to the abandoned merchantman that's just, it's a smaller ship, but all it is 3 shops.
Yep. And I could see I could see that the abandoned merchantman actually ended up with more, just to balance it out and make it not as, when you consider it the Banu for doing that type of stuff.
Again, you tell me.
At the moment,
like the 2 ships we've got are a good example, because the privateer is a low end or low tech, and the Banu merchantman, I would say that's high design, right? And we don't have a medium one, so again, I can see that. And if you think about it, high design probably doesn't need to have 10, because they're trying to be unique and special. So the 3 ships work there, right? But by the same token, as soon as you come down to soloistic, you can see cheap solo ships, but I can see boutique ones as well.
I could still see the Banu merchantman having more, just because it is it's the top end
Yeah,
of its thing. But what you're saying makes sense. You know, there's a whole difference in terms of the style and what's being sold. Yeah, sure, you could have tacos being sold in a restaurant.
Yeah.
It's going to be a totally different experience than going to a taco shop.
Yeah, I'll be really surprised if we don't see another Banu shop ship that's like singular. You and I have talked about this before, but yeah, and I think definitely knowing where that graph thing they brought out, knowing that Origin sat halfway between high design and commercial, there has to be at least 2 or 3.
I think we'll see
shops,
something on that.
Yeah, for them. And what else falls under commercial, right? Because I would say commercial to me is it was on a different tree to industrial as well. That's what, you know. So what for? It's its own thing. Shops its own like its own. Like it shows you how big it is. They had a thing that literally had military, industrial, high design, and commercial. So commercial to me is shops, and I can't think of.
No, we've got 2.
Tell me in chat, guys, what else falls under commercial besides shops? I can't see it because every time someone's brought something up to me, it's fallen under industrial. So, yeah, just tell me. Well, like in chat, I'll read. What else for you falls under commercial? And Algared and I have talked about this at length. And the only thing we can find is shops. So, yeah.
Yep. I could see food, food and different.
Oh, there's a good one. Yeah, the Starliner, commercial Starliner. That's another one. Yeah. So, trades could fall under that. So cargo ships could fall under commercial. Yeah, I didn't think of that one. That's true. So, certain cargo ships. We did talk about this too, Algared. The 400i with the temperature controlled area. That's true. Okay. Yep. I'm with you. Yeah, transportation. Yep. Okay. Yep. I can see now. So selling, buying, trading. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, it's really weird to see that as someone says in chat in YouTube, that MISC is leading the commercial market, and yet Musashi Industrial Space Concern, or whatever they call it, the heavy industry of spaceships is leading. It seems at odds of what they do, but yeah. But yeah, it'd be nice to see. I think there's more coming. I think it's probably the biggest thing.
So JL's saying it's a style guide X. It doesn't relate to ship's functions. It does a little bit, but we also have outliers, right? So, it was so interesting to see that Drake and Argo were right next to each other, but they have completely different styles. So that's juxtaposition to what you just said, right? That kind of proves the point. They're kind of showing where they sit on average, right? But again, like the Aegis was right up near the military, but obviously the Reclaimer is not military and the Vulcan's not military. So they move off that quite a bit because they move into the industrial a lot more. But it was just where Origin sat was so surprising to me because I thought they were full high design, but they were halfway. So there's just so many ships coming from them that don't have that commercial tag. There has to be at least 2 or 3 to even start to bring it back that other way. But yeah, anyway.
Well, Drake and JL says Drake feels very industrial, and they are they do.
Yeah.
Like look at the base of their company. Their company is a salvage company. That to me is industrial. Salvage is a branch of industry.
JM Corp says I used to load trucks for a living. That was definitely not commercial. Yeah, but I think it means the buying and trading part of it. So maybe they're again we'll have to wait and see. Like I can see where they're coming with the cargo is clearly tied to shops. I need new inventory type of thing. So
and they did talk about the shops would have, I think it was 192 SEU of cargo of their stock.
Tourism's commercial, much like the shifting people around as well. So yeah, maybe I need to broaden my view a bit. But yeah, this is why I ask questions like this so I can brainstorm.
Rick has a question for us. They say, do you think the Reclaimer's salvage hold will be reworked now that CIG has a wide range of stacking methods people use to do bulk salvage?
I just don't think they quite have everything online to load the cargo down to the cargo bay. That would be my answer to that, because that elevator clearly has the cargo shit. You know, the clamp magnetization stuff is all over that elevator. That's why, because they want you to be able to put it in there, take it down. They want that whole moving it around inside the ship thing. It's really obvious. And then
I want your cargo loader to be an essential part of that ship.
And then they want you to load it up in the elevator, bring it down to the ground, and unload everything on a planet or in a hangar or something like that. They want the whole thing. They want it to feel like you're moving stuff around inside a cargo ship. And I just don't think everything's quite there yet. I don't. Aaron, you tell me. I don't think we actually have a working elevator yet that can move cargo up and down. The Connie would be the only one I can think of at the moment.
I think the Connie can do it. I don't think too many others can do that.
I'd have to go. I haven't tested the Hammerhead.
The Valkyrie might.
Valkyrie doesn't have an elevator.
Which is the one, the troop ship one? Was it the Valkyrie?
Yeah, it's a Valkyrie.
Or am I just picking my ships?
But I said an elevator that can have cargo go up and down.
Yeah, so didn't that one have the vehicle elevator? I've obviously got my ships.
You're thinking of the Hammerhead. The Hammerhead's got one.
No, I'm not thinking the Hammerhead. No, I'm thinking of the little another one. But yeah, I'll obviously have a look. I've clearly got my ships mixed up.
Yeah, because the Valkyrie's just got a door at the back, and then you can put 4 cyclones in it. It does have cargo grids, but it doesn't have an elevator where the cargo grid is, and that's
I've clearly just got my ships.
890. 890 is one Zenith. Yep.
890's got one. 600i's got one.
So realistically, it should work on the Reclaimer, but I just don't think it's working that well. I don't know. You guys tell me. Is there many of you that have tried to take the cargo down to the cargo bay in the Reclaimer, and have you been successful?
I don't think most people try it.
Yeah, I think most people. Well, you tend to get enough cargo just to go sell it from where it is. So yeah, but eventually that whole room is meant to be for processing and storing and organizing everything. And again, it's just another part of the gameplay of the Reclaimer we haven't seen yet. I think salvage is just, again, much like mining, I just don't think we've seen the end of it yet. I think there is so much more to come as time goes by. So
yeah, indeed. Steve Ann says, are they ever going to stop limiting cargo grids on ships despite there being space for it? Eva calls out the grid space for 32 SCU containers, but it's disabled at the edges.
I kind of think that's a little bit like what I was talking about before with the MSR, the Connie, and the Corsair. Like, I think as time goes by, they just put in rough numbers, and then when they built the thing, they're adjusting it to fit.
But I think it also comes down to other elements, like when they brought out the Zeus. The Zeus has higher cargo, and they said, and RSI have taken the view that having it right up against the edges, that extra cargo that it gets by pushing it right up to the edges, isn't an acceptable risk. The downside was that when you're fully laden, you can't actually access your components that are housed in that area. And so having those spaces on the edges can be a bonus, not necessarily a limitation. I think also the cargo grid spaces are going to be limited because it's going to be, what the ship can safely take without crashing and burning, being overladen.
It gives you player choice too, so...
Sorry?
If you play a choice too.
Yeah. I think I'd like to see a default where it's got the setting, but one where you could actually, overclock it or turn off a safety mechanism. Yeah.
Open the wrong thing.
Medical Walker. G'day, Execute and Algared. Greetings from Puerto Rico. Well, greetings to you. Should I use my store credit on a merchantman or a crucible and an endeavor instead? I like all three, but don't have the funds for all three.
Sorry, I got distracted by this really cool picture. Need to get back to the string questions.
Yeah. I can see that I've been, terminated after me.
Yeah.
Hasta vista, baby.
It really comes down to, like, this is a mini fix my fleet question, isn't it? It really comes down to what is the gameplay you enjoy. It's that simple. Are you into cargo and selling of stuff? Are you into repair? Or are you into the multiple gameplays that are associated with the Endeavor? If we're looking purely based on value, the Endeavor is probably the best one because you're going to get the most gameplay out of it. But again, you could hate every piece of that gameplay. So you've got to look at it as a personal question. Me and Algared would ask you to your face and just would pull it out of you by asking you what gameplay you're into.
Based on looking at using store credit to get either Merchantman, Crucible, and Endeavour. If it's a choice of both versus one, then I'd go both. I'd also look at what are the loaner ships for those. So because the loaner ships give you that gameplay now, the other option would be look at using CCUs. Now, based on that, using credit, I'm assuming you don't want to be putting more cash in. And so this is, again, the type of things you go through when you're looking at fixed mode fleet. Are you able to put more credit in? Does that mean you can go buy some more bond CCUs? If you're not in a position to buy more bond CCUs, can you buy a pack that gives you a discount on those ships? So yeah, it's a lot more nuanced than people often think. But
again, you might not be able to afford one now either, but there's nothing stopping you from kind of like picking up the CCUs to those ships and using war bond CCUs, and over time, you know, get the first one that you like, the second one that you like, the third one that you like, and just do it over time. If all you can afford is one, though, again, it comes back to that: what gameplay do you like, and go for that one. And if you're not sure of the gameplay you like, I would say Endeavour. Just because it gives you the most gameplay that you can get, which is why me and Algared ran about it so much, don't we?
Yeah, well, you know, the key thing with both the Endeavour and the Crucible is they're still so cheap.
Yeah.
And I know $350 US dollars is not cheap.
It's another way to look at it.
But when you look at they're still concept price, and we know that they're going to go up in price. We know that their price is going to go up and skyrocket. Just look at the Hull C for an example. That started off at the same price.
You essentially can get the Crucible and the Endeavour for the same price as the Merchantman, so that's another way to look at it.
That's the question: is should I get the Merchantman or should I get both of these two? And
well, if you're talking about can't afford it, maybe get one of the cheaper two first. Yeah.
You know, so
because if you can afford the Merchantman, then can't you also afford the Crucible and the Endeavour?
Well, that's what he's asking. Yeah. Should I get the Merchantman or should I get these two?
Yeah. Well, I think we've covered every part of that the way we can cover it. So I hope that answers your question because, in synopsis, do what gameplay speaks to you. And again, you can do it over time and get all of them. Or like Algared said, just go for the one.
Yeah. But I'd you know, again, look at the ships that come as loaders for those if you're looking at buying it outright.
Algared, can you do me a small favor? Because I've got streamer mode on, can you go into latest episode discussion and thank the person that posted that photo? Because I can't see their name because of the
latest episode discussions. Okay.
It's the very last post. I can't. Their name starts with S, but I can't see any more than that because
I can't see their name because it's just S.
Oh really? It doesn't. So you've got streamer mode on too. All right, I guess I'll have to disable it. Sparkmatic.
Yes.
Sparkmatic. Thank you for that cool image. Appreciate it. Now I'm gonna go back and turn this back on. Right. Next question, Algared, if you'd be so.
Next question is just roll down again because I lost it. Smoke Cloud 8. Will we see more mining and other industrial ships this year? There you go. You post the picture and we answer your question. Smoke Cloud 8. Will we see more mining and other industrial ships this year? Maybe not mining, because I think that seems to be fairly well developed in ships, but never say never.
Traditionally, I don't know. I don't want to say traditionally. Well, it is traditional, isn't it? We tend to get ships in line with whatever they're working on, right? Now, you correct me if I'm wrong, Algared. What was coming at the end of last year? What were the two that they talked about fairly heavily that they were planning for the end?
Getting that done.
Talking about what?
I would work. We were getting salvage, so I know that was coming. And building on that.
But going even earlier, around March, they were talking about something very specific. But
I can't remember what they were talking about March, but I do know when they brought out the Cutter Scout, they were talking about exploration and.
Yeah. So the two I'm talking about is they had bounty hunting and medical.
Of course.
And hacking. Actually, now I think that was the third one, the hacking. Right. So we knew the Legionnaire's been worked on. We know that it's literally looks like a Duckin in that the ship panel one because it's grown and got so much fatter. So hacking's definitely coming because the Legionnaire. the Zeus is coming. Bounty hunting is coming. We've got the map improvements. We've got you need the map to be able to do hand scanning and all that type of stuff. So bounty hunting is going to be a thing. And medical is already kind of there. You don't need much more. The Apollo's also on the roadmap, so that's there. So I can tell you right now, this year, bounty hunting, medical, bounty hunting, I can pretty much say that they are on the cards.
And then you've also got the scout and the enhanced exploration, which ties in with the mapping and everything else.
We probably need to hear a little bit more on that before I'd say it moves into ships, though. Because we have the scout that's in game, yeah, I'll give you that. But we haven't heard them talking about the scanners on the ships. We've seen it on the maps, but we haven't seen it on the ships. And I think that's and if we start hearing about that, I'll be totally on board with what you just said. Yeah.
So, but will we see more mining and other industry ships? Most likely, but never say never.
Yeah. Industry is, well, okay, we're going back to it. What do you class as industry? Because bounty hunting's not, medical's not, and hacking, is that industry-esque? So, yeah.
Refining.
Refining might be the closest one that we see.
More salvage ships.
One thing I will state that I think you would agree with, Algared, is at the end of this year, we're going to be in a very different game. Very, very different.
And I think that's one of the things. Well, I think that was one of the things you, both Barn and I were talking about. It's just where we are now is changing. So it's going to change so rapidly, and be different. So a bit like our 5 ships, our 5 starter ships was literally for this patch because.
Actually, I just thought of it. Base building. That's industry. That would be the big one this year. Yeah, that'll be the big one this year. Base building. Yeah.
HK-47, go away from me because you're evil. And you're a robot and you're trying to kill me.
Hey, meatbag.
Sorry.
Hey, meatbag. He used to always say that. Hey, meatbag. It's just the way he replied to you. Stack up because you're a human. Meatbag.
Your thought on the Raelian. Or the Raelian. Do you think it will grow enough to compete with a cat? Will be tailored for types of cargo.
So that ship is very clearly pointed at the replacement for the original purpose of the Banner Merchantman, which is a blockade runner, which is what it was like. It was a Merchantman was based off a merchant clipper ship from 1912, and they were designed for high speed across against the Atlantic with smaller amounts of cargo, and often illegal cargo. So essentially, what you see with the speedboats doing drug runs from what's that country in the United States? God, I always forget it. Cuba scars and stuff like that. So, and because the Banner Merchantman has now grown to be basically a 890 jump in size, they need a replacement for that. So they went to the other alien race and went into the Raelian. And the Raelian is designed to have the gun turrets on it and basically smash through the blockade, so to speak. And if you look at the other smuggling,
it really is the equivalent of what happened to the Idris. Idris was a corvette.
Yeah.
It could be a frigate, and we've now got the Polaris.
And so they had to have a ship to replace it. But getting back to what I was saying, you've got your other smuggling ships like the Mercury Star Runner, which is more of like it's built on speed and it's just running away. This thing will fight and punch its way through. And then you've got something like the Retaliator that does it with deception, because it does have the modules that make it cargo bay. So you don't know if it's going to be a combat ship or a cargo ship. You don't know what you're going to get. So do you want to go pick a fight with that? So you've with those 3 alone, and you've also got the Taurus that just kind of sneaks it in there with the rest of its cargo. So that kind of gives you all 4 variants of smuggling that you're probably going to need.
Question in detail. Don't go any further.
Yep.
Northern Trooper. Do you think we'll get any info on a mothership for the Miss Furies?
I'd love to think so, but maybe it was just another pie in the sky thought. But like, up until now, there hasn't been a snub that hasn't got a mothership. So I've got to think at some point there's something coming for it.
I always go back to what they talked about, or what CIG talked about in lore. There being, Misk were experimenting with attachments for the hulls. Using ships. And that's about all we know. And that could just be lore flavor. It could be something they intend to do. It could be we get attachments for the whole series. It could be a brand new ship. Have no idea. It could be nothing.
Yeah. And you got to remember it's Mirai too. So Mirai is allowing Misk to do the other side of the street, the tree, so to speak. So it's allowing it to go into that military racing vein, which is kind of almost the complete opposite of what, and performance and stuff. So I'd say that as a really cool outlier, like just a turret. Well, think about it, like a smaller hammerhead, but it's Furies attached where the turrets would be, and when shit hits the fan, they're the escape pods, they're the drop off, they're the leave it in orbit, go down, do the attack, come back. Like you can see all the advantage of it straight away. Like when the concept came through, and the first thing I thought of was the Starfarer, and we got someone to make that image, and then literally before we even put the video out, someone had gone and taken the Starfarer and was trying to do it in game and stuff. So we weren't the only ones that were thinking along those lines. So it's clearly hit a chord with a few people, and I think it potentially. I would hope it's a thing. Like it's like when I talked about what I thought the Rambler was going to be. It's just a hope. Doesn't mean it'll ever eventuate. I just love it if it. I'm disappointed with what the Rambler ended up being, but that's just me. So.
Right. Aaron Johnson has a question for us both. What do you think would be a good ship to pair with a mole for hauling refined goods?
The whole A. Wait, the mole. No, you want to go higher. Whole B, whole C, even. You could do a couple of moles and a whole C. Yeah. I don't know, Algared, what's your thoughts there?
Any cargo ship, if you want, for hauling refined goods, if you've got a mole, you could even look at putting a refinery in there. Refinery ship. So it refines the stuff and then takes the refined stuff off the market.
Well, they did say the whole A, the Prospector, and the Expanse are all meant to kind of dovetail, but he said mole, so it's kind of like the next size up. So, again, we've got more refinery ships coming down the pipe. Currently, we've got the Expanse and the module for the... No, my brain... Galaxy. I was brain farting. I couldn't think of the word. But the Galaxy is a large refinery, and we've got the small in the Expanse, so we're missing a medium. So again, I would, like I was saying before, you intended gameplay, when they want to bring that refinery stuff online, we'll probably see them drop another refinery ship. And a lot of the time, it may be the test bed for that. We've seen that before. Like when the Apollo comes in, it's going to be based on certain things, like the beds coming in, the refining of the beds, and it also looks like it might be the test bed for drones too, with that, if the drone is working, that drone on it as well, and then that drone will fold out into other drone ships, obviously.
As I look at that question and just hearing what you're saying, I'm actually thinking that question misses the point, because the mole isn't doing refined stuff, it's doing basically raw stuff. It's just filtering some of the inert stuff out.
It's got processing ability yet.
But it's not refining the ore.
No, I think it's just a sorter.
And so if you're wanting to haul the refined goods, you actually want your mole, a refinery, and then a cargo ship. In that kind of thing, just like you would with a prospector. You've got that idea of those ships dovetailing together.
I can't remember what they said in the Q&A, but I think they said the Aristrata cannot take external stuff into it to refine. I'm pretty sure that was in the Q&A, wasn't it?
I can't recall. I know that
someone in chat will let us know. The Aristrata can't take external stuff in to refine. I'm pretty sure that was in the Q&A.
I know that the Expanse has the same cargo bags for both the mole and...
Oh, they said it can, did they? It can. Okay, well, then in that case, you could just take an Aristrata and a mole. But yeah.
It's got more cargo space, so yeah.
Yeah. But I also think that that's a selling point. But again... I think the bigger things go, the more dedicated refinery things you're going to want. So I think we'll definitely see a medium refinery at some point. We also have gas ships left to come. I'm pretty sure that's why the Prospectors lost the ability to mine underground. I think that means they've gone, right, the scope of the game's changed again, so we can have more ships if we just split these off to do multiple things. So we'll have to wait and see where that all goes.
Yep, indeed.
They have, you know, they've confirmed that it was a thing, and then 6 months later they said the prospector can't do underground mining anymore. So if you add two and two together, that means that more than likely it's a whole new series of ships that they just haven't told us about. But we'll have to wait and see where that goes. But yeah, I don't know. I've got space there. I don't know about you. I've built chains out to ships that I think are coming, and they may never exist. But
Yep. Oh look,
yeah,
you dream about the things you'd like to see. And if it comes, you go awesome, and if it doesn't come, you go, oh well.
Worst case scenario, I'll just turn them into another ship that's in
Yep.
that you know, like I'll get a Perseus or get an Odyssey or something like that, and I'll just double up into things that. So I'll have a Carrack and an Odyssey and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yep. Eventia Plays has a question.
Mm-hmm.
Many other games are improved by their modding communities. Do you think Star Citizen will ever be open to modding or forever a black box limit hacking?
Sorry, I was reading what Jack was saying in chat. Sorry.
Yep. So other games like Australia games are improved by their modders.
Just answer it. Let me read it.
I think if a game has to be improved by its modders to make it worthwhile, it's not a good game.
Yeah. It should be an additive, not an essential thing.
Yep.
AKA Starfield. I think with this though, the real question now is the scope of the game has got to a certain point that it pretty much relies on Amazon server tech and server meshing and static server meshing. If you wanted private servers, I think you'd pretty much be locked to one moon. You wouldn't be able to really travel around too much because it's just too. And not only that, I think it would almost be at the point where you'd need a dedicated server. Because there's a very big difference between a dedicated PC and a dedicated Amazon server. We're talking magnitudes difference in power. I just don't. I think the scope's changed, sadly.
Yeah. I think that the place you'll do your dedicated server type things, your dedicated game, your individual, I would want to do my own thing, is going to be an arena commander. It'll be that type of
that
thing.
would be
that's not exactly what people want, but I think that's where we're going to end up being for that.
And I think the other thing you could probably go into if they wanted to go further is they could probably work with Amazon to actually have rented servers through Amazon that you could then mod. It just really depends how far down that line they want to go. And I think at some point there's a financial thing where it says it's not worth it. But again, it's really how far they want to take it. And I
suppose if Amazon were selling off, making available individual standalone servers that you could rent and buy, maybe.
There is a drawback to mods as well. People can take the modding tools and use them to make it easier to access cheats and hacks and stuff like that. It happened a lot more back in the day.
And question that talks about the open modding or forever black box to limit hacking. So
so I don't know. It's a catch-22. I think they kind of need to weigh that up, and I think it'll be whatever comes down that's better for the masses.
But at least if it doesn't need, I hope that we don't need the modding community to make the game better. Unlike other companies that are selling AAA games that are woeful, in my opinion. Blue Rage. I almost called you Bludger. Blue Rage 77 says, "What do you think? What do you guys think? Can one solo an arrestor?"
I think you can solo any ship in the game. It's just how long it takes and shifting multiple seats and
you'll go far. Yeah.
Yeah, and let's take the extreme soloing a javelin. Yeah, you can drive it around, but as soon as you get under attack, like pretty much up shit creek without a paddle type of thing. And every time you add a single more person, it becomes easier and easier to do that. Even if you look at something very simple that's in game right now, like a Redeemer, every time you add a person to that ship, it just grows in strength. It does have diminishing returns, obviously, because once you've got 4 people in it, The fifth person gets the shitty back turret, but it's still adding to it. You know,
it's not as much fun as being in the front turrets.
As I said, diminishing returns. But again, I've picked a medium ship there. As soon as you knock that up to a large or capital, you know, look, and again, we don't have those ships in game enough to look. I think the only one who could really look at is like a Reclaimer or an 890 jump, and Reclaimer is a good example because as you add people to that, more and more turrets come online.
Yeah, I imagine even a Hammerhead, similar. The more people you add, the more those turrets become online. 890 jump is another good example because you need people to man those turrets.
Yep. Hammerhead. It's a good one. Sorry, what did you say? Because someone else said Hammerhead in chat.
I said Hammerhead 890 jump. I was agreeing with 890 jump. But yeah, I think the other question that comes into that being able to solo ship, like me being the only player on the ship, I think also needs to take into account how many NPCs you're going to have, or how much you're going to pay for automation on your ship.
Yeah.
And we don't know exactly how that automation is going to work. Yeah. We do know we'll get NPCs, but how many NPCs can I employ at a time? And they're going to be elements that weigh into that soloing a ship. But having players on a ship will always I think the players on a ship will always trump having NPCs on a ship, even though the NPCs will do the job.
Yeah.
So,
I often wonder, like, you know, this is a theory thing, right? So I log out for the night, and I'm in Australia, and someone else logs on in the States. Can I turn myself into an NPC that person can use when I log out? You see what I mean? So if I'm already on the ship, instead of me just taking up a bunk bed and you know what I mean? Like, that'd be kind of cool. So someone else can control you as an NPC.
Because that ties in with the old agent smithing, doesn't it?
Kind of like reverse agent smithing in a way, yeah.
So I can see where you're going with that. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how it goes.
So can someone go to sleep on a ship, and because I'm awake, I can then control them as an NPC? But you'd have to really trust that person, and if they got you killed, you'd be mad as a meat axe. But yeah, again, if it's someone you trusted, and I don't know, it'd be interesting to see where they go down the line.
Yeah, unfortunately, that might at the moment that would certainly be giving someone access to your account, and that could be the Shinobi Trip. Question about personal hangars. Do you think we'll get the mezzanine floors back with the living area that we had back in the days of yore? It'd be nice.
What does he mean by that? Mezzanine floors, sorry?
You know, the mezzanine floors, like you'd have the old asteroid hangar, and you'd go up the floor, and you'd have the lounge room, and the place where you could put the bed, or you'd go into the Revel and York hangar, and you go up the lift.
So the customization little living area part, right?
The living areas, the customized areas, all of those types of things.
I think they are kind of a part of it. I think the Era View in the older ones had that, but it doesn't have it in the newer ones. So I see where he's going with this.
But at the moment, the Era View hangars aren't the player hangars; they're just a standard.
I think they've changed. I think they've moved out into HABs. Personally, like, so you look at all the space stations, they have HABs. You look at all the places on ground, they have HABs. You look at all the things for buildings that they're talking about being able to rent penthouses.
Yep.
All these different levels. So they've kind of separate. I think hangars of, again, as the scope. You got to remember how old hangars are. They're going all the way back to the $21 million type of thing, right? So the game's expanded twice since then. So I think they've separated it, and it's now hangars and HABs. And they have done videos that talk about hangars and HABs in the past. So I think it's split.
Yeah, well, you'll remember one of the things I always talked about was having a room attached to our hangars, which was just a mapping room, a space mapping room. I know you and I have the work table that was to go into a HAB, so you could actually do tinkering of your components. But they have also talked about HABs being a places where we'll live. Question is, will we have both? Will we have a personal HAB where we can decorate, or will basically our homes, or will we have, or will the hangars be there, or will it be a combination of both?
Andy Roo FX, thank you for the subscription with the Prime on Twitch.
Thank you.
He also says, first time chatter, super excited to get to see/visit those hangars attached to my account though. Yeah, and that was something we were talking about earlier, like how are they gonna bring in the different styles and stuff, and I don't know. There's a lot of that stuff that has never really been detailed out, and I'm kind of interested. We'll put it this way: if we all end up with just having the aero view, I think a bit of us will be disappointed, and it's
and I think, but I think it also comes back to the change of the game scope.
yes.
So back in the day, it was, that the hangars were tied to the ships in terms of the size of the ship and what was needed, and also
Well,
the
they were
game.
more location based back in the day. I'm
Yeah.
hoping now they're more a style choice.
Yeah.
So they are almost cosmetic.
Yeah,
in
and I think
nature.
you're right. I think it'll come, and effectively they were. The only one that was really location based was the asteroid hangar. Everything else was just a style of because it could go anywhere.
We can debate that off stream at another time because I think differently, but that's fine.
But I certainly do think it. I would hope that if I go to Hurston, that you can get your Revel and York hangar, or you can get your.
Well, because right now in game, I would argue that Grimhex is safe land. Orion, Microtech, Hurston, and ArcCorp are all AeroView. So that's why I think it's location based. We don't really have Revel and York in game, and I guess you could also argue Grimhex is a little bit like the asteroid hangar, but I think it's more safe land personally. But again, they are all the same style guide. They are all AeroView with just different textures and stylings. And I think that's the reason why they picked AeroView. Ironically, is it's right in the middle, so they've just got to go up and down to the other two. Yeah,
and I think that's where it's going to go. You'll have the option to go the luxury style.
Very looking forward to my Revel and York hangar at Grimhex. I don't. I'll come in and they've just pulled everything off the wall, the value and all that shit.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be certain areas where you could do that.
Yeah, agreed. I think
there'll be a limitation to how far you can go up and down that ladder.
Yeah.
But
well, same as when you go out to like small outposts, there probably is just the one option. You might even find that certain particular places you go in the verse and they're just biometrically opposed. Like you could go to Origin headquarters and it's just all Revel and York. You can't get anything but Revel and York, and it costs more because that's all they offer.
Yeah,
as an example, and it would go the other way, obviously as well.
Yep.
Right. Next question. Mr. E says, given server meshing slotted for the summer and all Squadron 42 mechanics being ported over to the PTU, do you think that 24 will be a stable year for gameplay, or will be in another year of hectic year? That will get both. Just like last year.
Yeah. But I think based on what we're seeing in experimental mode, what you're seeing in the PTU at the moment, they are very smooth.
I think you can also agree that the technical preview came out of the chaos that was persistent entity streaming in the kind of March-May roundabout patch.
Yeah.
They learned that they needed to separate it out a bit for a couple of reasons. And I don't know about you, but I haven't really seen many PTU patches, but I'm seeing a hell of a lot of technical and ePTU patches, but I'm not seeing almost anything for PTU because that PTU is broader, wider access, and it's those people that are carrying on like pork chops when things don't work.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Whereas, and I think that was always the case. That for real testers, just get in there and do testing. And it's broken at the moment. Yeah. Okay.
Is there anyone you don't know that plays the game regularly that doesn't have ePTU access? Every man and his dog that I know that plays the game regularly has got it, right? So those dedicated people are given access. I know people that don't even have PTU access that have ePTU access because they play the game so much they've been given it because I think CIG understand that people that play the game, they understand the game. And that's why they've given it to them. And it's really weird to see PTU almost like just die off a cliff in a weird way because it's... And think about it, all the criticism since around persistent end streaming, you're not seeing those videos you saw of hate. Like, this runs like dog shit. We're just not seeing those videos much anymore. The only ones I'm seeing is the broader Star Systems a scam thing. I'm not seeing this particular feature is crap shit thing because the dedicated, other than the few very dedicated people that dedicatedly put out negative stuff, you know what I'm talking about there, a couple of people, but everyone else is pretty much, it's kind of curb-tailed it quite a bit, unless you think different.
Yep.
Right.
Next. Northern Trooper says to be sentient AI is that I ask the question. It cannot.
It's weird to think of AI as sentient. Is it sentient, or is it just clever enough to act real? Because I've often thought about this. I don't think you can actually get sentient AI. I think you can just get something that acts so well it feels alive.
Yeah, and
yeah,
I always think back to I forgot Big Bang Theory when Raj falls in love with Siri because Siri was just answering his question.
Yeah.
But it was it was just approximating. It was just imitating.
Let's fake it till you make it, literally, and like they'll eventually, no matter how clever the AI, at some point it'll trip up because it's a machine. Like it's well, here's the ironically funny thing, but so does a human. You know what I mean? Like, so you're actually expecting it to be the perfect human, and then when it actually acts human, it's like, aha, you're an AI. the ironic, funny part of it is, yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't think we'll ever get truly sentient. I think we'll just get very, very clever. And I think we're already starting to reap the benefits of AI, as in they are taking the cleverest parts of humanity and dovetailing them with AI, and it's this mutual working together. So our ideas and being able to put them into an AI, and the AI speeds it up essentially, and we're seeing that already. I don't think you're going to get, well, maybe I'll be wrong, right? And maybe this will age poorly, but I don't think you're going to get many original concepts of AI, because put it this way: at the moment, someone has to ask the question for the AI to give an answer, right? It's when AI starts asking its own questions and can do it on its own, and I don't think we'll ever get there. Anyway, I had an idea for a book, Algared, a long time ago. I should share that with you, actually.
The question is, will the computer be able to answer the question for the menu?
It's 42, Algared. I told you that already.
We know the answer's 42.
Yeah.
That's why we've got Squadron 42.
Yeah.
But
do you reckon many people after the fact will connect that dot? Like, it's like, how many people go, do you know why it's 42? And they'll be like, no idea. Yeah.
The answer to the universe and everything in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those weird little things. It's a bit like, towel rack in the hangars, like, what, we got a towel rack?
Yeah.
The answer to that question was no.
Yeah. So there's a couple of little comments here real quick that are not actual questions. So Shempasta says, is the BMM modular? No, but the shops are modular. And then Hook Turpie says, do you think that we can get a high-end stores in a Drake ship? And that's where I'd say no, I don't think we can. And that's why I think we get multiple different types of shops coming. By the same token, to go the other way, I don't think you'd get a taco truck in an Origin ship. Right?
Yeah.
Again, like, you got to think outside food as well. Like, everyone's mentioning food. We know for a fact that they've worked on high fashion design. What about a clothing shop, right? And just like you got to, like, most of us are guys here, right? So put your female hat on for a second. They well, not just females, but you know what I mean. Like they like fashion and stuff. They like medical. They and I'm talking generalistically female terms here, right? I can see a high fashion shop. I can see a medium fashion and a low fashion shop. I can see people that go to an op shop to buy food because they can't afford to buy anything else, right?
Huh.
And so once you start looking at real life and putting that into the game, I can see a repair shop that only sells repair tools, and it has multiple different levels. And I can even see like a racing shop that you go to, and it's all high-end components and special tools for that. But by the same token, I can see a farm shop, an agriculture shop. So you can see very quickly, as soon as you start to go between all these different things, you need a different ship to fit that aesthetic, because there's no way in Chris Roberts' green verse that we're going to see a farming ship in an Origin ship.
And yet, in the same sense, if you're looking at the cargo or the stock, there's nothing going to stop someone who owns a Great Kraken putting high-level clothes in their store. Is that what it's designed for? No.
Well, even the banner merchantman, as you make it there, like why a smaller banner merchantman would be one shop and stock.
And you know, there's nothing stopping you put your tacos or your burritos for sale in your banner merchantman.
Yeah.
So
I can say that right now, like a real
you can go high end and
Algared in his real, you know, top hat, monocle, really classy dress suit, and then he's just like eating his taco with a knife and fork, and it's just like shattering as he tries to cut.
Yeah.
Crack.
Yeah, you'll pan back and you'll see him in shorts. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but yeah,
yoga. To move on.
Yeah.
Are there any ships that don't have variants that you think should have a variant?
Yeah, the cutter. I'll leave it at that. Yeah, Agri knows what I've been playing. We'll leave it at that.
Oh, that has variants that shouldn't have variants, but yeah.
It should have another one that it doesn't have. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's think about it seriously. I think we're gonna get that Terrapin search and rescue.
Yeah.
The Terrapin
I think
transporter one. You know the one?
Yep, the Terrapin's certainly one that comes up to mind.
Someone, where was it? A medical version of the MSR, but the only problem with the MSR is I think it would be treading on too many other medical things. That's my only concern with that. Because it would tread on the Apollo, it would tread on the Endeavor, it would tread on the Cutter. The Cutter. I think the medical's kind of a bit. Eventually, you know, when we're getting direct competitors, Algared, I could see it, but not right now. Yeah.
I could see a Herald.
Oh.
A Herald stripped out as a full-on.
Really? Okay, please tell me.
Stripped out as a full-on racer. Turn it into a proper drag ship.
Yep, I'll give you that one. Slim it down a bit, or how would you slim it down? You would fill it full of an engine. You'd put an engine in the whole thing.
You put more thrusters or engines,
more
or
fuel, more engine.
You get rid of your computer banks and your storage, and you fill it with extra fuel. So it could,
you'd probably move the bed forward, and
wouldn't even have a bed for a racer. Get rid of that out.
You heard of 350R?
More room. Sorry.
Have you heard of 350R?
Yeah, I wouldn't go for the long
run. I think the beds are coming around again. I think the beds are going to become a thing because of endurance racing. I literally
I do think they've always been a thing, but yeah. But that'd be something. But yeah, there's lots of
Aristrata salvage. Yeah, no, I think you'll get a unique one for that.
Tunif says, will there be manufacturing like crafting, food, armor, guns, ammo, etc.?
It's definitely expanded into
I think it's on the boards now.
Yeah, no, it's pretty much
originally it wasn't going to be that way.
Yeah, but it's confirmed now. It's confirmed. It's not on.
I think we're moving.
He said on the boards. It's well and truly on the boards. There's no speculating. It is well and truly.
Yeah. But it didn't used to be a thing, but it is now. So, it's just responding to someone. So I'll just skip that one.
Yeah. North End Trooper says, question, Master Modes is supposed to...
Go on.
There you go.
All right, Master Modes are supposed to come this year. Now seeing it in Arena Commander, what are your thoughts of it coming to you?
I think it's... We talked about this a bit last week. There are some people that are really against this change. I think there is no... So there's two minds I have about this, Algared. You can look at it as in, this is what is required for the masses for Squadron 42. And there's no reason you can't have a single-player control scheme and a multiplayer control scheme. But I also think the people don't like change. And for the longest time, there are a lot of streamers specifically that have really fought any type of change to this light fighter meta. And I think both you and I have been saying for very many years, they've got a rude awakening coming. This game was always meant to kind of be a rock, paper, scissors with the medium, the large, and the small, and the capital all thrown in. And all we've had for the last X number of years is light. Yeah, they need to put their big boy pants on and get ready for what's coming.
Yeah, not being the king of a house because they're going to get smoked by all the other stuff, or not be able to even hurt the bigger ships. But yeah.
And I think I said last week, someone, I'm deliberately not saying names here, but someone said that they found, I was watching a video by them, and they literally said single seat fighters are the elite or the top pinnacle of combat in this game. And my brain instantly went, no, that's not correct, because as soon as you put multiple people in any ship and they've got to work together, that's more complicated. So therefore, it's not the pinnacle. It is the solo pinnacle. I'll give him that person that 100%. But as soon as I heard that statement, I just turned the video off because I knew the rest of it. If you have a conception, like at your very conception, you make a statement, the rest of your brain thought after that is naturally incorrect. So there was no point watching the rest of the video because
I just go back to 2014. Because in 2014, we had the whole idea of the Constellation being able to take out, 3 F-7C fighters 50% of the time, and that was said 3 50% of the time.
I remember 2, but I don't know. Someone check that up on us. Is Algared right? Am I right? Is it 2 Hornets or 3? Go check out, because trying to find that now would be impossible.
Right, so it's what 3 F-7C fighters. It actually won. Now it was said it could take out 3, and it was based on the pricing because the price was about 2.5 times the price of 3 F-7Cs. But it was also multi-crew versus singular crew, and so it was that whole balance, and I think that ties in with it. The whole idea is that fighters weren't the be all and end all. It was multi-crew was the be all and end all. So
it's very clearly from like how do I put this? They're making all these massive big ships, and if they're going to make it turn around and make it's so much copium to think that a solo ship is ever going to be able to compete with a multiplayer one. And people logistically look at other games and some other things. It's like, well, why would I ever want to? I want to work on my own because then I don't have to deal with other people. But to motivate you to work with other people, they have to put things in like more money, great teamwork, and all that thing. They have to motivate you to want to be in those bigger ships. If it is just plain Jane on paper like it is now, of course it doesn't make sense. But you can see the gameplay techniques that they're going to bring in to do that. And to think that it's just going to still be with solo fighters when this is all said and done is so narrow-minded. And what about other professions? Just even going outside combat, it changes it completely, because as well as I would argue more than 50. I don't know. What would you say the percentage is between combat and industrial, just as an example? I would say most people are into the industry, not into the combat. Yeah, would you agree with that statement? And let me know in chat if you guys think different. But I think most people are interested in that non-traditional, outside the combat norms gameplay when it comes to this game, whether it's science, medical, the myriad out of others, because it's just different. I've done the combat shit. I've done the Call of Duty, the Counter-Strike, the clicking heads meta. I've done all that. I want something different. If I can go back to that, though, whenever I want, awesome. But I want that new stuff that's never been done before. Yeah, there you go. There's a real simple one there. Yeah, I don't do combat. I just fly around. And I tell you what, it's one of the few games you can do that. Absolutely. What is it? Medic Sans Guarantee. Yeah, absolutely agree with that, man. Because how often do you catch yourself, Algared, just looking at the sunset going, oh, shit. I do it all the time.
Medic without a guarantee.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can never get people who just think that the fighters are the meta now is they're going to be the meta. That's insane. That's stupid. Yeah. It is absolutely moronic. And I'm sorry if you're in the audience and you think that, because it's stupid.
It's been that for so long that I think some people think that that's what the game is. And it's kind of, I think some people are in for a rude awakening, and those people have got other ships nerfed The one I keep coming back to is the Redeemer. You know, certain people kept complaining about it, and they dirty nerfed it just to keep those people happy. But now we're
Yeah.
moving into that period where they're starting to get into Star Citizen. They talked about it at CitizenCon, going back through every ship in the game and reworking all the things. And they said certain things like they're getting rid of the size stuff. So that, you know, if you have a size 1 weapon, you can have a gimbal to lock it. Doesn't matter anymore. You know, all these restrictions that we've had for years and years and years that have just been there as a necessity because you and I have said that. Well, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm pretty sure you've said this to effect as well. This whole thing has been a distraction just why they make Squadron 42, right? And now they're actively. Do you honestly think it took this long to do that little? You know, it's been a distraction.
As Johnson says, you know, so many people seem to think that they're going to be able to take a little light fighter and take out a cap ship.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, I have no doubt you will be able to do that, but the difficulty level, astronomical. You know, just by the same
it's not
token,
going to be like flying your A-wing into the bridge and killing the whole ship.
Yeah, I've seen the same content creator I'm talking about. They took a Fury and they went up again against an F8C and they smashed it.
Yeah.
You know, so it is possible, right? These people know what they're talking about within a particular field. And I've said this to you before, Algared, right? No one person is ever going to be able to cover this entire game. It is too damn big. Even between me and you, Algared, now, we are more and more regularly starting to get things wrong. One, they're changing it. Or two, is just too much for us to remember.
Yeah,
you know?
we're 10 years of content to...
Yeah.
Again, I was saying to someone in our chat the other week, we were talking lore and talking, you know, stuff. And they said, I said, look, when we say we can't remember or we just don't know, we're not fobbing you guys off. It's just so much. We just can't.
Well, I think in the last 1 or 2 years, I've moved, and I don't know if you're the same, but I think you have, is I've moved from trying to get everything right to, if I don't get it right, let's just find the truth, because it's just far easier to be wrong and get to the truth than it is to trying to be a perfectionist and remember everything. And it's just not possible to do that. And we are humans after all. We are flawed. And so, yeah, at the end of the day, if you think I'm wrong or Algared's wrong, I don't think either of us would argue if you... Again, kind of like what happened with that video with Luna Mario, where someone came in and corrected us on the cargo things. I wouldn't have known that if someone hadn't corrected me. Or corrected us, rather. But, yeah, you get my point.
Happy New Year.
Freak Ross was a first-time chatter. We finally got to your question. I just want to say that. Yeah,
we do get to them.
Yeah.
It just takes us a while. We're only almost an hour and a half behind. So Freak Ross says, Happy New Year. How big do you think CIG will let us go with base building, especially production facilities? We'll be able to build large-scale production chains, say ship production, weapon production, etc. Or will there be maybe a draw line?
I think
we actually talk about that a little bit with that episode with space when we're talking the size of the bases and stuff as well. So,
and I, even back then, I don't remember if I agreed or disagreed, but I'm going to just state this now: is I just think it'll be tested. They will determine how big they want things to go, and
they'll put limits in.
Well, think about it this way: we know that with a Pioneer, it's the extra large, right? But is that an extra large base or an extra large building? You see what I mean? And there's little things like that we just don't know yet. Do you sit there and build the whole thing in one go? But realistically, looking at what they have, is it's building. So again, if it's just an extra large building, you can just keep building as big as you want it to be. What is the limit? It's got to be within the 8 by 8 kilometer base. That's huge. That's massive. That all of Lawville probably fits into an 8 by 8, just to lay it out there, you know. So yeah, I don't know what the limits are going to be. You don't know what the limits are going to be. I think CIG doesn't know what the limits are at the moment. They'll have to test it.
They're going to test it out. But I think they'll limit the limits they'll end up tying in will be how much we can maintain. You know, they'll kind of do that limit, as we talked about. You know, that kind of the time it takes us to fix it, the resources are needed to maintain it, and get to a point you just can't do it. And so that'll have an
Well,
impact.
you know how they talked about interior ship culling? That's going to be a thing because it's not just ships; it's vehicles, buildings, everything.
Yep.
So
everything will degrade and everything will need that repair, and
it'll be one of the single biggest performance boosts this game ever sees when they bring that in.
Yep. If you want a profession that's going to make money, be an engineer.
Yeah.
Because that'll make you'll be able to find work for that, or a repair guy, because that'll make you work. You'll have never-ending supply of work.
You'll be able to work on buildings. You'll be able to work in vehicles, ships, everything. Because you can essentially look. A ship is a flying building. Essentially, there is no reason like you can't literally look at it and go, I can see modules in bases. It's just a no-brainer. And again, they might even, much like vehicles have their own classification of modules, there's no reason they can make a classification of modules just for buildings, right? And you could have your niche. I am a ship engineer. I am a building engineer. I am a vehicle engineer. This is all totally a thing that could be down the line. So yeah.
No, I could really see that being a thing, but yeah. Never say never. Let's wait and see.
Yeah.
Anyway, going back to Freecrow's question. Oh no, that was Freecrow's question. So I hope that answers the question for you, that where we'll see bases going. And I think the tie into the base, I think that will also depend on what things we can build. Originally, it certainly wasn't going to be we could do the end line, but nowadays,
actually, there's a really good answer to go along with this. Hook 205 in Twitch said the limit will be materials. He's technically correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can keep the materials coming, but it's gonna. You've also got maintenance as well. I think you just said that, yeah. So it'd be materials and maintenance would be the two limiting factors for me.
Yeah, and if you don't have the materials, you can't maintain it. And so it really, if you've got lots of materials, you can go big. If you don't have and if you've got the people to maintain it, then you can go big. But if you don't have the people to maintain it, even if you've got the materials, it'll.
So that'll be the last one: materials, maintenance, and people. I guess we call it people, but
people to maintain it. Yeah, people to do the work. Yeah. The engineers, the builders. But yeah.
It'll be the size of your org too. The other players playing with you. Again, it's a multi-crew building. It's like a multi-crew ship. Like if you have that guy that's out in his prospector and he just goes back to his own one-room outpost and parks his prospector, he's going to have to be in safe space because he just doesn't have the resources to go outside that. So you've instantly limited your play area because you're choosing to play alone. With the risks comes the rewards. You know what I mean? Like literally, so we can go anywhere we want. If we're in a massive org, we can go anywhere we want. We can put ourselves in danger, reap all the rewards of the rarer loot, lower taxes, all that type of stuff. So you can see it all. It's all self-balancing. It makes a lot of sense. Anyway. Right. Yep. You want to do the next one now?
Michael Hajinick says, Algared, what is a good place to dive into lore? And where do YouTube lore channels get their information from? The best place is probably the RSI website. Is a good place, and I always go to the good starting point are the time capsules. You can usually find a cheat to get around that. Just go to Wiki and type in the thing you want, and that will usually pull up the resources. Sometimes you don't get any. A lot of the YouTube lore channels have done their digging and rolled through and read Jump Point and the web pages and watched the videos and some Mr. E in YouTube said Astro. A lot of people will just go to AstroPub because Paul does a great job. But Paul's done all of that digging. He's gone through the reading of the website. He's gone through the reading of Jump Points. He's gone through the video.
I guess what you're saying is if they want to dig through it themselves, if they want to turn themselves into AstroPub or yourself, that's where you
start off with. If you want to do the digging, then start off with time capsules, and then slowly just work your way down. And you've got not only do you have the time capsules, you've then got the fiction, the in-law fiction, which is the kind of taking historical characters or historical events and putting a fictional spin on it, so giving it historical fiction. Then you've got the actual news broadcast, you've got the Senate reports, you've got the it's just an endless, and I could go for hours just talking about the different spaces and the different parts that you can go to. And
I think the other one little resource in there that you didn't mention would be the Star.
Where?
Sorry?
I didn't hear what you said, sorry.
The Star Map is another
good
one.
Star Map. Well, yeah, and the Galactic, the Lore Master's Galactic Guide to the, here's another one, where they go through and they pick up their star map and they actually talked about the planets, and they talk about the lore in those planets. So, yeah.
Shem Pastor kind of says, I don't always read lore or anything else, but when I do, I listen to the Astropub. Yeah, gamers don't read. We just listen to Astro.
Yep.
All right, next question is by Rip, who says, do you think they will ever add a way to anchor ground vehicles to cargo grids so they don't slide around? I think that's what a lot of those mechanical things are, but also rope tech's a thing. We talked about this, didn't we? With the mule at one point, just like tying it down and stuff. So they've got that rope tech in there now. I think they'll start utilizing it a lot more. Like, rope tech sounds really simple. It's like, rope tech, what am I going to do with it? But then when you start to realize where you can use ropes, it comes pretty vast pretty quickly. And this also leads into that thing that Algared and I have talked about before, is in different levels of tech. So you've got like high, low, and medium tech, and the one I always come back to, Algared, is the trolleys. They've got multiple different trolleys. They've got the hand trolleys. They've got hover trolleys. They've got drones that move the cargo. We've now got tractor beams. You can see very quickly that's, like, you're not gonna, you go out to a small outpost, they're not gonna have the same amount of money or resources that like an Origin one would have. That's just shitloads of drones everywhere.
Yeah, and you'll see, that the high-end ships will have the magnetic cargo grids. You'll have others that rely more on the ropes to hold things down.
Can you imagine going out somewhere and they don't have a way to unload your cargo other than a rope pulley crane?
Yeah.
I can so see that. Like, it's some old dude that just refuses to update to like a tractor beam, and he's got no power, no nothing. And you're going to sit there and like hand pulley this box out, yeah.
But then you go to an outpost that is miles away from everywhere, where energy is limited. You're going to not necessarily use your power to do that. You're going to use a more mundane method.
We haven't even got into things like restrictions of the area or planetary conditions or anything like that. Like you go to, like you said, you go to a certain area and you just can't use tractor beams because of some kind of electronic field in the atmosphere. Yeah. The other one I thought of is ropes are not that dissimilar from chains. So you could even have it so that in particular areas ropes break down in the atmosphere, so you need a certain chain to get it to work. So I can see other things down the line as well.
And then you even look at the tractor beams and the way we've seen the tractor beams work, and you can see the way the tractor beam works is very much a rope.
Yeah.
Which is one of the things we noticed when we were playing around with them the other week.
Well, you and I even talked about certain effects on certain things. So for a very particular place, your tractor beam will only work at a certain modularity. So you've got to get a module to put into it just for why you're in that system or whatever. We've talked about engines, shield modularity, all these different things that they can put any little gameplay thing in that they want to differentiate it from somewhere else. Yep. Right. Who's next?
Randy Donald
goes, what do you think about the Crusader small fighter or snub? So he's talking about the yellow ship image one that some people think is the Nautilus and stuff like that as well. Now, I don't want to speak for you, Algared, but I'm going to. You tell me if I'm wrong. Me and Algared have looked at this, and quite honestly, I think it could be a couple of different manufacturers, don't you, Algared? But the one thing that we've taken out of it that we don't see many other people, I don't think I've seen anyone else talk about it actually, Algared, have you? Is it's pretty much guaranteed to be a small. And that's just based on taking the little human, turning them sideways and laying them out. And based on the fact that most male figures are modeled at exactly 180 centimeters tall, that would mean that that ship is 23.6 meters roughly. And again, that very definitively puts it in the small category.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all we know. It's a small ship. Could it be a Crusader ship? Yeah. Could it be anything else? Yeah.
Oh, I've lost him. I was going to open it up while you were talking, Algared, but you've died on me. You went through it. Here it is.
Although, wait till I'm back.
No, you're back. You're back. I hear.
Okay. But yeah, so I dislike the fact that Crusader have gone away from their historic roots of their lore, but I could fully understand Crusader developing a small fighter because of the problems they've got with Ninetails, and so developing a fighter for their security force to counter the Ninetails group. But
so
I'd rather not see Crusader have a small fighter or stuff.
So we did a whole video on this, and it's actually one of the most viewed. It's one of the most viewed videos on our entire channel right now. So yeah, we go through it in detail, but it's behind my fat mug here, so you can't see it. But there is a person standing there, and basically that's the person we use. And I think I even at one point during the video actually show them.
You actually should move your head at one point.
No, I think I actually show. I'm just skipping through it here, trying to see if I'm pretty sure I showed the image where I laid them down end to end.
I thought you did too, but
maybe I didn't. Maybe I lost it, or maybe I'm thinking of another video.
Maybe we didn't, because we did bring that up a few times, didn't we? But
yeah,
certainly the when you're going through those yellow slides, every ship has a person next to it.
Yeah.
Even the very last ship, the biggest ship, you look and you say there is a small person there.
I think it's this one, Algared. I think this is the one.
Possibly is
the tinfoil hat. I think I've mixed the videos up. Do you know how hard it is to wear a tinfoil hat with headphones? It is ridiculously hard.
Yep. You know how hard it is to wear a tinfoil hat when it's 40 degrees?
Yeah. You cook like an egg.
Yeah.
Man, I can't find it. It's not in this video.
But watch one of those videos. You will find it.
Yeah. So it's in one of those two.
Anyway. And even if you just watch a video where you see the person next to it gives you a clear view of the size scale of those ships.
But if I had to take my biggest guess, and Algared and I have talked about this, this is just based in logic, right? Is the two main manufacturers that don't have a core starting ship, and I mean like a starter or kind of an advanced starter, is Argo and Crusader. Now you look at that ain't Argo. It does have some Spirit vibes, like similar VTOLs and stuff like that. It does have a small cargo bay that Algared might point to that one because he's closer to it than I am. So that little box there, and it looks like it's got a little bit of stairs. Yeah,
I can't actually.
Oh wait, I can do it. I can do it with the mouse. I'm an idiot. Right. So yeah, so this box here is what we're talking about, and these appear to be a small kind of fold down staircase. And again, if you go through the video, we went over it in detail. It actually looks like there's a door space here as well. We went through a whole bunch of stuff like zooming in and stuff that we don't do in the video. But long story short,
and then you've got the side of the person, and
yeah. So this is very similar to a Spirit in a lot of ways, but you can see RSI in there. You can see, so there's many manufacturers it could be. It's just based on the fact that there is no Crusader one and no Argo one that is, to us, it feels more likely to be a Crusader one. And the cool name that I've heard for this, me and Algared actually called it the C0, but it was actually Paul, based on the fact that the other one's called the Spirit, is that he called it the he called it he called it the Wisp. No? He called it the Wisp.
Oh, the Wisp, that's right.
And I think that is I think that is a fantastic name. Yeah, well, Sprite and a Wisp is very similar, so I can understand why you'd get them mixed up. But I think I called it a Sprite at one point. But yeah, Wisp is what he called it. And I think that's a fantastic name.
Yeah, it's nice with the little idea. But yeah.
Yeah.
But everything seems to say it's a small ship to me. Now, we could be wrong.
Yep. See, so right there. So Red Snare says it looks like a mini Zeus. Yeah, absolutely. But why does RSI need one? They have an Aurora. They don't have an advanced starter. Unless I'm forgetting some ship. I'm just
no, I don't think
no. So you could be 100% right, Red Snare. Right. Again, it could be they are working on RSI ships. This, in this point of time.
Yeah.
So it probably leans more credence to that. But again, is it needed? Yes, no. Like, again, it could be an advanced starter for RSI. I don't disagree with you. Again, you got to use that process of elimination. So everything we've heard come out of people's mouths has not been invalid, and that the whole reason they make this video is so we talk about it and hype it up, and not just us. I mean all of us. When I say us, I mean like the whole community.
I think this episode was really good because it was tin hat.
Yeah.
Everything we said was tinfoil hat theory.
Yeah. But
that was the idea of a tinfoil hat.
You can make but again, even based on just things like what Red said there as well, I can see RSI in that. But for example, I don't see Misk or Orion. So you can start to limit stuff and cut it out, right? And I think the only other one I've heard really the only other two I look at is Consulted Outland and Anvil, right? Because I can see little things in all of them, right? But again, do we need an Anvil advanced starter? Well, they don't have one, so yes. Do we look at Consulted Outland? Well, yes, they've got one, so no. So I rule them out. So you can start to see, you can start to limit it down and down and down. And so at the moment, I think the contenders, like Red Snare said, RSI, Consulted Outland, and maybe Anvil.
And you could, and just because a company has an advanced starter on a starter doesn't mean it doesn't count it out as being a ship they'll do another one for. Origin is a classic example. We've got we've got the 300, the 100, the 85X. This
is true.
But
you've got to constrain it somehow, or you literally get into tinfoil hat territory where you're just going so far down the rabbit hole. It's in hopium and copium, and that's again why we always do this in a minimum of 2 people, but we're usually doing it a lot more people. Because it basically reins it in, and you're self-checking each other.
Stop going too weird and crappy.
Yeah. If you ever want to do this, I guarantee you, just get in a room with a couple of people, and it just changes your whole perspective, and you'll guarantee you something will come out of someone else's mouth, and they'll totally change the whole perspective.
And you'll go, oh yeah. Happens all the time.
Yeah, all the time with us, and you've got to go. The only people I'd say don't do this with is people that always think they're right. You've got like I used to be like that when I was younger, where I always thought I was right. But Inforunners definitely taught me to go into things being prepared to be wrong. It's a positive effect it's had in my life, and it's the same thing with like how I said that where there's just so much to know about this game. I've changed now to going to let's just find truth, and that's just me in general. The Inforunners had that positive effect on my entire life, and I think I don't know, Algared, if that's happened to you. But that's one of the positives that's happened to me about this channel is just it's changed me and made me grow as a person as well, not just a content creator or whatever.
But yeah,
I got a first-time chatter there called Cable1116 who says whales will save money. Money goes where the money is. Yeah, a little bit, but yeah. I don't know, Algared, would you buy this if it was not an RSI starter?
Probably.
Yeah.
I end up buying most things, so yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, I think it'll be again. It fits into the actually. Do you know the one that actually came out that I found the most intriguing was when I talked to Paul, and I asked him about I think it was called the bear cat or the bear claw or the cat claw or the bat claw or what's it called? Do you know the
bear cat or bear? Yeah, I know the one you talk about.
Yeah,
but
someone will correct me in chat. And I actually asked him that, and he said, yes, it does have cargo. So imagine if this was a combat ship that wasn't a starter. That would be awesome, because then it's actually a combat cargo vessel. A Bearcat, Wildcat, yeah, something like that. It's something by them. And again, if that is that's one of our first hybrids. It's a combat cargo ship. And again, I think that would lean into smuggling, don't you, Algared?
Yeah, well,
Hmm.
325A ties into that
Hmm.
ground, but
Yep.
315P, they're
Yep.
very, very similar in those types of things. So, yeah,
Yeah.
never
Oh,
say never.
yeah. So we'll see.
There's the
Maybe like the other thing is like we're speculating this is cargo, but what's to stop that being a bounty hunting box? Nothing. Absolutely nothing, right? Because it's kind of long. We've just assumed it's like 4 SCU of cargo. But what if it's actually like a giant? What if it's two bounty hunting boxes, one on top of each other?
yeah, two bounty onto
You know.
stack.
So yeah, it could be a like someone said, a mini Zeus. Yeah, red what's it? Red snare said. So it could be a mini Zeus, like a one person bout. It essentially makes it a Avenger competitor. I got no problem with that.
No, well, we've always said, I think Lena Murray sums it up. More ships is always needed. More ships are always needed.
Yeah.
More ships are always good.
Yeah.
More variation.
Yep.
Gives that sense of a real world rather than just everything being the same.
Yeah.
There's something I like.
Do you know the thing I just realized? It's one of the other ships like the Taurus where the cargo comes down and it's loadable. So is that an RSI thing too? But sorry, this is from a video that we did during the week. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so I just realized it comes down to the ground. So we were talking about like ships that bring their cut would be easier to load in combat situations, because you look at things like the C2 and some of the others, you've got to kind of like put it into it, where and this is where the kind of Taurus came about, where the Taurus is like and the Connie is just has the whole thing comes down, you can just chuck shit in it and go, so it's fairly quick.
It's certainly you certainly see that with the 600i, the 890, I think the Hammerhead. So all of those ships, that elevator, in that kind of vein.
Yeah.
Um,
but it gives them an advantage. So what it was it's an advantage that we just never had thought about, right? And I'm not saying we're the first people to think about it or anything like that. I'm just saying that it's just something me and Algared had never conceived. And then we kind of started going, this is a plus, and it is a big plus, right? Because like the quicker
I think
you
it's
can.
the one we were looking at when we were doing the daily drivers for
322. Yeah, that one. Yeah. Yeah, and it just became really clear that there are some ships that there was just this little perspective that we hadn't seen before, and I've got no doubt that's going to happen again as more and more things come into the game. So yeah. SRV, yeah, the SRV's got one, but I would almost argue that's a little difficult to get to because it's a bit claustrophobic. Like I can't just smack a 32 SCU container into that thing. That's the other thing we were looking at. We were looking at like the different, like all the cargo size containers, no limitations. And so when you do that, like the Connie, like even the shit that we were talking about, like that is not going to be a 32 SCU cargo container, right? So that's the other part of it that I've just remembered. So yeah, it's smacking any variant of loot as quickly as you possibly can, and it is a unique. I think the 600 could do it, but also the 600 is a much bigger ship. So we were trying to think of the biggest ship, the smallest ship that can take like a 32 SCU, any size of cargo. So just make it 32.
And the other thing that came into that as we were talking the ship was with the Taurus, the fact that it also had that tractor beam really ideally placed. So
it gave it that versatility for space and on ground. So it made it a cargo general. It really did make it a generalist. But I'm just trying to think of anything else that is really like the Connie series in that regard. And the Taurus goes to another level again because, as you said, that tractor beam. So yeah, I know the Taurus hasn't had a heyday yet. We kind of said that in the video. So yeah,
I'm going to suggest that since it's 7:54, that turn off the bot.
Yep.
And that will mean that within the next 15 to 20 minutes, we'll get through the rest of our question.
Yep.
And I'll also move on to our next question. Yep. So JL has a question. He said, regarding the discussion of smuggling earlier, do you guys believe the Aurora CL could be the start of smuggling? Could be our starting smuggling ship when they talk about the lowest drive emission in its class?
Can you answer that one, please? Because I'm just replying to someone.
Yeah. So, look, I think any ship can be a smuggler ship. I think a CL being having the lowest drive emissions would give it a more stealth ability, not being able to be identified as a mission. It could work that way. Paul has always argued that I think it's the 315P is a really good smuggling ship because it has greater cargo. I think it even has more cargo than a CL. I think CL's got 6. I think this 315's got 8. I could be wrong. But yeah, it could be a starting smuggling ship.
I really want the tractor beam on the 315P to be able to rotate and then to remove those little walls, because I think if you can load your own cargo on the 815P, it takes it to another level. Because right now, the only thing that I can even remotely think of for that tractor beam being any use for is loading other ships.
Yep, and thanks, Jodamo. 315 is 12, so it's basically double the space of a seal, and that makes it so much better.
It's double the Avenger for the same price. So
there you go. I think the Avenger 6, is it? I think the Avenger.
Oh, double check. Okay. Double check. Someone check.
I know the Steel 6. I thought the next one up was 8. But I was making a mistake of thinking the 315. But I can't remember.
No, it says 8. No, it says 8. You're right. You're right. I was wrong.
Okay. That's okay. I was. I said the 315 was 8. So.
See, we even get people in chat that are getting it right and wrong.
Yeah.
Just shows like getting to it is that's get to the truth. Check it. You know.
Yeah, it's bigger. It's got more cargo. I'm gonna start saying that it's got more cargo.
Yeah.
Then I'm not wrong. Yeah. Then someone will say, "Oh, but how much?" But yeah. So it could be.
All right. Next question.
Sivan says, with the Zeus Mark II's, Zeus Mark II MR's 2 turrets, has Sergi finally moved away from a ship with intentional blind spots like the Corsair, Hercules, let crew competence determine proper defense themselves? Every ship will have a limitation. No ship will be the be-all and end-all ship.
You can't have perfect everything. So even if it's like the perfect combat vessel, it would have something else, like it's got less fuel or less range.
The question here for you then is, if it does have really great turret placement, what's its weakness?
Yeah, like does it fly like shit?
Because it's not going to be perfect.
And I think one of the reasons why it's got such great turret placement is because it's tanky. It's got to be able to shoot really well because it's going to be taking lots of hits. Hopefully, it needs to kill the other guy
before
it dies. Yeah. Again, that leads into the tankiness. Slow and sluggish is a tanky trait.
Yeah. And so having better coverage for
look at it this way. If I had the Cutlass versus the Zeus and I made them the same speed, and then on top of that it gets all this armor and it gets better placed guns,
why would you take anything else?
It's not balanced. As I said, why would you take anything else? And so by making one ship perfect, you have no need to make any other ship. So they've got to have different attributes.
So you make one that's good with weapons, one that's good with armor, one that's good with and you yin and yang.
It also makes it so, depending on which situation you go into, like so in a particular area of space, that ship will be, really good, and so again, generalistically speaking, speed, like a Spirit, is going to be. You got to remember, if you're looking just at cargo, getting if they're all got the same cargo amount, speed is going to be generally the best thing you're going to want, because even when you're not in combat, that's the major advantage, because you're getting there faster. Even if it's only minutes faster, it's still an advantage, right? And then as soon as you go to the Zeus, if it is the other way around and the Zeus is slow and sluggish, why would I want the Zeus? Because it's probably more protected and you're guaranteed that it's going to get there safer.
Yeah.
Right? And again, you put that ships in different situations, it all changes around again. Again, you need a ship for every situation. And there's no perfect ship. Anyway.
JL says, thanks, guys. I've always been curious about the Aurora variant, so talking about the stealthiness and the smuggling aspect of it. But also tied to that is you're going to be able to have stealth components on all your ships. And so you're going to be able to do, ships that have lower emissions already are going to be able to be made lower. So...
Yeah, you just beware, Algared, of my stealth reclaimer. It's coming for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
Self-proclaimed.
you're dead. You're dead.
So,
Man.
there's going to be an element where smuggling but smuggling is possible on any ship, but I think some ships will be better at it than others. They're kind of not settled.
They did mention, like, you correct me if I'm wrong, Algared, but they did mention about actual separate cargo containers that could be stealth based as well. And from what I've seen, based on this is my speculation, but connecting a few dots, is you can have for example, you can have a climate controlled cargo container, but for example, let's say it's frozen food. A part of that cargo container is taken up by the freezing mechanism.
Yeah.
So you lose out. So if you're only just taking one box, no worries, it's worth it losing that bit. But if your entire payload is frozen, then you'd want to take a ship that's tailored towards temperature control of the entire ship.
Your 400i then with its climate control rooms might be easier because you might be able to stack more cargo in because you've got those rooms that are doing that. So
and that's another thing that me and Algared have talked about is down the line where we think you'll see a ship, well, maybe at least one, maybe more, that has a temperature control environment. And we haven't even got into outside temperature controlled. What about, we have talked about this, you and I, but what about one that requires an actual particular environment? Like a completely toxic to human environment, but in there's a particular plant or animal or bug or whatever that absolutely thrives. In fact, it's the only way it can live. And it's worth a fortune. Or it's required for medical research to cure space cancer or whatever. You know.
And they're the types of things that have been talked about that the Endeavour would be doing with its biodomes and stuff, but it's never really been extrapolated and stretched. And
like again, you can take anything on another ship and transfer it to another ship, like or a smaller or a larger ship.
I don't know, but I found these results on search.
Shut up.
And Arthur Vanderleys, thank you for the $8 tip there. That'll go to buying one of us a coffee.
I think he's been there almost every week now for a while. All right. Mr. E says, that's not a question, that's a statement.
So thank you for that. Always appreciated. Never expect. Blue Rage 77 for the next question.
Citizen Ninja is... No, Blue Rage? Okay, Blue Rage 77 says, when do you guys recommend for deep space, long-distance salvage mining for solo player, Liberator plus Vulture Prospector or Odyssey with Vulture Prospector? Thank you. So, what do you recommend for deep space, long distance salvage mining for a solo player? I'm gonna be honest. I don't think you are gonna want to be doing long distance solo. I think solo is very much in a secure space area endeavor. Solo is really designed for you to get your feet wet and get you out in the universe, and then push you into starting to work with other players. So you correct me if you think I'm wrong here, Algared, but your first interactions with other players, if you were in a mining vessel, for example, say the Prospector, would you start to make friends with a refinery person in an expanse? And that would, so they're slowly introducing you to other professions and other players and getting, hey, so I met John today, and basically now John's got a refinery ship, so we're going to go out together. And we're going to cut, instead of me just getting him to refine it and me paying him, we're going to go out together. And you can see it. They're trying to naturally integrate you to working with people. And then the next thing you know, you and John are in a mole.
Yeah.
And you got married, you're married and you got 4 kids. No.
Yeah.
Here I go.
It's a bit like we were in our chat the other day, and one of the guys says, I've got this cargo I need to move. I've got this loot I've managed to get. I can't fit it in my ship. I need help.
Yeah.
So a couple of us got in and fed him up and loaded it up and took it away.
Even in your even in his question, it kind of countermands what he's saying. So it goes for a solo Liberator plus Vulture Prospector or Odyssey Vulture Prospector, right? So let's take both ships there that you've given as examples, right? So I'm going to look at the Liberator and the Odyssey. The Odyssey is a massive ship that's designed for multiple players, so let's just chuck that out the window and go back to the Liberator. It's 2 people. Even by its very nature, it's not soloistic. It's 2 people, and then if you go from there and just leave it floating in space, and you put one on the Prospector and one on the Vulture, again you're at 2 people. So at the very absolute minimum, you're at 2.
Look, I could see it taking both of those ships solo. A, because the Odyssey gets taken out by
Yeah, yes, you can, but
That's
he
all.
said, but the question says, what do you recommend? Would you
Yeah, and
honestly
I wouldn't
recommend?
recommend going
Yeah,
deep
yeah,
space mining by
yeah.
myself.
Yeah, so and even if you
But
look at the Aristrata versus the Orion, the only really deep space miner I think that exists, in my opinion, is the Orion. I think it's the only one that can, because it's going to go out and stay out for a long time and then come back. The Aristrata, you look at the stats on paper, that thing is moving around trying to find things, where the Orion doesn't give a shit. It's just going where no one else is and just munching everything. You know, it's more like a deep
I think
quarry miner.
I think also tied to that is, again, that whole idea of can I take NPCs with, which
Mm,
will help. Um,
yeah.
I always looked at one of the things I always thought I want to do is go star trekking. Take a ship
Mm,
out, go exploring.
yeah.
And the ship I wanted to do that with was an Idris because
Mm.
to me it kind of was more like an
Crew.
enterprise.
The crew.
But
Yeah.
the other thing that worked with that was all the red shirts that would be on it, all the
Mm,
NPCs that you'd have
yeah.
on the ship were red shirts, the ones that would
Mm,
die instead of your actual human crew. Because so you,
mm.
so yeah,
I think that's also why you and I recommend bigger ships more frequently, because you can just take that bigger ship and very quickly earn the smaller ones and then go off on your own, right? So you can struggle through with a bigger ship, but also it's going to be so much harder to take a small ship and get the big ship. So at least by having the big ship, you've got options to either keep using the big ship or earn a cheaper one quickly, and you have
mm,
that variety. So okay, I'm during the weekday, I'm on my own. I can do all the little things I want to do. Oh, it's the weekend now. I can get back with my buddies and use the big ship.
I'm
I just think you get more flexibility with a big ship.
picking up Aaron
Yeah.
Johnson's comment about what a captain sending all those red shirts out to die. I'm just taking a leaf from Captain
Yeah.
Kirk's book.
Yeah, we did talk about this before, Algared, like making a T-shirt idea, or like about Algared and red shirts or something. I'm
Yeah.
Algared's red shirts.
I will.
Yeah.
I will say, in my defence, my character's name, Algared Julius Beaumont,
Mm.
is based on, a homage to James Tiberius Kirk.
Mm.
So do with that what you will.
Mm.
So yeah.
Okay.
Mr. E,
Yep.
when I first read this, I thought you were talking about me, and then I realised you're going back to the AI question.
I think
So,
that's a statement, Algared. It's not a
yeah,
question.
but I only raised it because when I first read it, I saw it as Al,
Yeah.
which was AI will only ever imitate biological processes. The only question is how well it will do that. And I read it as Al will only ever. What do you mean? Citizen Ninja. If an AI has a will and its will is influenced by their programming, how is that different to how our will is influenced by our own programming, innate and social tendency? That's getting into philosophical and theological issues, and I don't think we have the time or space to do that at this present point in time.
I'll make it really quick then. When it's programmed by a human. Bias. Done. The program is biased by its creator. It's that simple.
And this, but then and I'll just raise the issue that I was avoiding: free will and predestination.
Yeah. How is it actually choice if it's been programmed? And the only way you'd be able to do that truly is for it to analyze and be able to make up its own mind. But again, that's going to be biased at some point. So therefore, it only ever comes back to RNG, and that's not choice. That is flicking of a switch or rolling of a die.
I'll raise the theological issue of predestination and free will, which are theologically coexistent and yet different terms.
Yeah.
And that is a whole
can of worms that people have been dictating for years. Yeah. Oh, not dictating, debating was the word I meant to say.
Yeah.
Debating. Yeah.
And I deliberately was avoiding it.
Sorry. All right. Next one. Who says, these names, man.
Yeah.
Question: when do you think we will get smoke grenade, terminal vision, Titan suits, and other gadgets besides multi-tool and size 2 director beams? Well, they do have FPS improvements coming down the pipe. Yeah, I think maybe this year. There is a lot of things coming that are very tailored improvements for Star Citizen this year. Unless you think different, it's I wouldn't say no or never. This year, big question mark is what I'd put.
Will we get Titan suits this year? Probably not. I guess.
But the other stuff, the FPS stuff.
But the other stuff, yeah, but then never say never to the other, And I think I think it's one of those things you, Ace, and I talked about in that video. We kind of skirted around so many things. Some we've really delved into, others we kind of just touched on.
But again, you can take the broader overview about what we're talking about in that video, and you can layer it over, and you start. It's like you said, like we didn't touch on everything, but you can look at it and go, "Oh, so this means this, and this." And that was what I took out of it at the end. I'm still thinking about that episode from 2-3 days ago because it's just kind of like opened a door for me and got my brain thinking.
And it was one of those episodes where we started looking at one thing, but as we looked at it deeper, we started to see
other things,
other things and other applications and other areas where it impacts. So, Jack says, why do you think it took them so long to implement markers in game? As useful as it'd be, you'd think it would be here already.
Squadron 42.
Kind of feels like they purposely avoided it.
It's Squadron 42. They haven't really been working on Star Citizen. They've been working on Squadron 42, and that's what we're going to see this year. A lot more working on Star Citizen. So,
yep.
And that's Wolf 002 says, question, can the Reclaimer be refueled by the Starfarer? I don't think so at the moment, but I think eventually it will, definitely, 100%. I don't think there is a fuel port in the Reclaimer yet, is there? I haven't tried it.
I haven't tried to refuel a Reclaimer, so I can't tell you.
Anyone in chat, let us know. Have you tried refueling a Reclaimer, and have you been successful?
I do know that refueling ships in atmosphere is often a problem because the second you join up, you get impacted by a bit of gravity, and then the one ship starts to.
Yeah, but again, you wouldn't be doing it in atmosphere. So just have you tried refueling a Reclaimer, and has you been successful? Right, Champasta says, what gimbal changes are they making? So they're basically removing. So you know how you technically, if you have a gimbal, so if I have a size 3 hard point, and then I have a gimbal, the gun drops down to a size 2, as an example. They're removing all that. So it's just like you can just take a size 3 weapon, have it on a gimbal, and it attaches to a size 3 hard point.
Yep.
So it just simplifies everything because it was way too complicated, and that had all been put in back in the day for joystick users. And they eventually changed it more recently to 20% reduction in damage. Now they're just removing it completely.
Yeah.
Which is what I've been arguing for years and years, because it was, you were pandering to a minority of people that use joysticks, and I'm sorry, if you think you're not in a minority when you use joysticks, you are sadly fucking mistaken, right? Because most people are going to play this game with mouse and keyboard. In fact, I would argue more people are going to play this game with a controller than going to play it with a mouse and than with joysticks. Now, I know there's a lot of you out there, and you probably hate me for what I just said, but I'm stating facts. I'm stating pure statistics. Right.
Yeah, I think you just got to suck it up.
Yeah,
but yeah, they're getting rid of that size reduction, putting gimbals on, and everything. You'll able to switch it to gimbal, or you'll be gimbaled off.
Yeah. If you love joysticks, more power to you. But again, you want a game like this to be as accessible as possible, and having something that affected gameplay like that to keep those people happy. It's their choice if they want to use joysticks. So therefore, if they're so derogatory, why are we making compensations for them in the actual game? If they're so fantastic, why were we making compensations for them? So that answers the question. It's self-answering question.
The other thing is there will be ships.
Yeah,
I think the Jean ships are going to be excellent.
Yep,
and they're going to be second to none for joystick use, just because of the way the thrusters work.
Yeah.
There will be some ships that will be, really excel. Other ships aren't going to excel. That's just the way it is.
Before you get really excited, someone was saying 4 size 5 guns on my Connie. Well, before you jump the gun, they are doing a full weapon pass on all ships too. When they do that, so massive changes coming.
I can remember when we used to put size 5 guns on our Connies. And the only reason we stopped is because when they did the rework, the 2 ventral mount would put the size 5s into the pad.
Yep.
And so to fix that, size 4s didn't sink into the ground, and so they just changed it.
You and I could sit here and rattle off 20, 30 different ships that you can tell that changes are coming on. Like I'm gonna pick 2 little simple ones. the like small little size 2 turrets that we see on things like the Retaliator, the Gladiator, the Warden,
Yep.
things like that, or the Vanguard. That's just one. What's one that you could pick real quick that you could see that would
Aurora.
be Aurora?
Aurora's going to go from size 1s to size 2s.
Yep, absolutely.
You
100%.
know?
Yep. Size 1 sounds like it'll be the domain of vehicles at this point.
Yep.
Unless you think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
You know, that's going to be our vehicle weapon, of course. Whereas the base weapon you're going to see on ships is going to be size 2. A size 2 on an Aurora with gimbaled instead of just.
They changed it. Sorry, someone just. I think someone just corrected me in Twitch chat. Kel Rath says Glad is dual size 3. Is that on the turrets, Kel? Because I'm talking about just on the turret. From what I remember, it was 2 size 2s on the turrets. But hey, I'm happy to be wrong if they've changed it already.
Yeah.
Actually, do you know how many?
The Gladiator was 2 size 2s on the turret, but I could be wrong.
The Revenger says, execute the cult of the joysticks wants you to join us. It's bliss. Do you know how many pairs of joysticks I've been offered over the years? I've had official people approach me. I've had people that, like, I reckon I've been offered close to 20 pairs. I don't use joysticks. It's not my thing. I'm a mouse and keyboard guy, and if you've seen me fly, I can fly pretty much as well as a joystick user with a mouse and keyboard. And I prefer it because then I don't have to unfold my sticks and move them out of the way and all that stuff, and then I get underfoot. I just want to play with the same things all the time. And it's the same reason why I don't use a controller, because you just can't aim properly with a controller when it comes to first person.
I have enjoyed in the past using a joystick. I have toyed with setting up a joystick for my setup. I did like setting up the Thrustmaster. I did like that.
Yeah. Do you remember when we talked about back in the...
wrong. I need to get mounts at the right height, otherwise you get wrist.
Do you remember when we talked about back in the day that we would eventually see dedicated pilots? They would be the joystick user. They would be the person that flies the entire ship because that's their thing with the sticks. That's what they're awesome at. And I reckon that'll go from combat pilots across the whole board. Use what you like.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But to think that the as they put in that really awful Star Trek episode, the sheer fucking hubris to actually think the entire game should be based around a small subset of people is really strange. It is just really strange that I'm surprised it's gone on for so long. Like, as soon as I heard it, I went, "That makes no sense."
It goes even further. It's like, you know, the whole game being based around light fighters. Insane. But to take that view, it's not.
Mr. E would just like to let everyone know he's currently accepting donations for VKBs. There, if you want to help him out.
So there you go. Yeah. Anyway, Jacob, any thoughts on the current state of station defences? PvP players were protesting the removal of Battle Royale from AC a couple of weeks ago by shooting at ships going in and out of Seraphim.
Eventually, that's all going to disappear, and actual fleets will turn up and take you out and stuff like that. And I do think there probably needs to be some kind of default space station defense. It makes a lot of sense to me. We've seen it in other games, let's be honest. I just think it becomes a part of their defense. But I think there will be stations you see that just don't have turrets either.
Point out, Person Dynamic.
Yep.
Person Dynamics make base defense platforms.
Against
one of their key things.
But also, like we talked about today, Algared, different levels of defense. Like, you may go to an outpost and they just don't have defense because they can't afford it. But you might go to another one and they're like over the top and they've got shield generators and, you know, you've got to check your pass before you can get in. Yeah.
And I know, you know, I can see when we've got bases and we've got our shield generators, I can see there'll be, you know, the Star Wars, you know, and I've said it before, Return of a Jedi. Not Return of a Jedi, Empire Strikes Back, you know, attacking the base and blowing up a shield generator because that's what you do. You know, and I can see, you know, I can see that being a thing. But we've got space platforms doing turrets. I think we'll see bigger ones. I think we'll see smaller ones. I think there'll also be the local ships on the station. So.
Yeah, I think it's going to be more additive than subtractive. I think we can end it with that, yeah. They're more going to add to it than remove from it, yeah.
Okay, we're down to the last 4.
Yeah, Hook 205 says, question, how do you think insurance will work? You only pay for ships. So you only pay for ships, you only pay for all. So basically we don't know at the moment. They've said it could go either way at the moment. Yeah, because this comes out of lifetime insurance stuff. So yeah. The quick answer is we don't know.
That's why I want lifetime insurance.
Yeah. Because they've stated things like, as soon as you change one thing, you got to pay for the whole thing again. You change one thing, you've only got to pay for that one little thing. We don't know. So that's the best answer I can give you. Is
Yep.
Either way. They did say lifetime insurance is only worth about 1 mission for that ship per month. That would cover it for that entire month. So that's pretty cheap. Second question by the same person says, same with ship storage. If you have to pay for all ships, whales will be poor. This is true. This does limit you to the number of ships that you have to look after. But the other question I'd say, is it a one-time storage fee? Do you buy it once, or is it a continue ongoing drain to your finances to limit the number of ships that you have? It depends how they want to do it. We also know some players like myself have permanent free fees on planets. So I think there will be, the way that I look at this now is, what if you can rent or buy? So it's cheaper to rent, just like ships, Algared, right? You can rent a ship or you can buy a ship. So why can't you just buy your storage? So if it's somewhere that you are staying temporarily, you rent it. But if it's somewhere that you stay all the time, you buy, and that's where most of your ships will live, in the purchased one.
Yep.
That's where I go, but you correct me if you think I'm wrong.
Even buying extra cargo space or cargo warehouse space or on planets. So yeah, I think we've just got to wait and see. I hate to think that people who have backed the game significantly are put at a disadvantage in terms of playing the game, but you just have to wait and see. I don't have the answer.
All right. KYNF says, what is your best guess to when Squadron 42 will be released, and how soon after that, Star Citizen? So I read something very interesting this morning that says Star Citizen's 2 years away. Ironically, laugh. But I honestly think a lot of signs from what I'm seeing are pointing to CitizenCon this year for Squadron 42. It just makes so much sense.
Screaming, yeah.
Is
CitizenCon this year. I don't think in fact, I think I was saying that last year, before CitizenCon last year.
I think you and I have been saying it for the past 2 years, probably at this point. Yeah.
But I think CitizenCon last year, if anything, confirmed what we were saying or what we were thinking. At best, I think at bare minimum, it'll become beta, and then we'll see it in the first quarter of the following year. So, that's my best guess. So, yeah.
Yeah. Star Citizen, I think, is going to be going to start to kick off this year. And I think just more and more gameplay is going to be added over time. I don't think it's going to it'll have that 1.0 release that we're all kind of waiting for. But I just think you and I and everyone else here watching Algared is going to be playing it more and more as time goes by. I don't think we're going to give we'll kind of care, but I don't think we'll care as much because we'll just be playing what we've already been playing type of thing.
I don't think we'll see Squadron, we'll get Star Citizen having that kind of release date.
Yeah.
It'll be like we get jumps, like we'll get the jump points come in.
Yeah.
We'll get a new system.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to be a release. It's just going to be a continual iteration.
And I think it's closer than people think too, though, because a lot of the stuff in Squadron rolls over really nicely, and that's what that video told me as well. Like it told me what this year's going to be, and when you watch the video, it's just going to be a penny drop moment because Algared had it, I had it, and Space had it all in the same video. It was so obvious. It's like, how did I not see this earlier? And I just don't want to spoil the video because it was a aha moment for me, and I want it to be an aha moment for people to watch it because that's what I felt.
I think what was really unique about that video is we'd come at it from different viewpoints at times, but we all went to the same
place. Well, that's what a
same
good
point.
conversation is, though, because you feed off
Yeah.
each other and all. That's how you
But
know
we
you're
all,
onto
we all
something.
kind of saw it at
Yeah.
the same time. It's like,
Yeah.
oh,
Well, that's how you know you're onto something too, when everyone clicks.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Right, last
or
question.
we've all drunk the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, one or the other. Right, last question for today is by Fred Eric Schultz, who says that mysterious ship could actually be a new gold standard rework of an existing one.
Yes, it could.
Technically, it could, but it doesn't look like any ship I know of in the game. The only one that I would think it remotely looks like is a Spirit, and they're going to gold rework a ship that just got redone. Maybe, I don't know.
Oh yeah.
I never say never, Fred. Never say never. But
That's our catchphrase these days.
yeah, I think statistically unlikely though.
And I think when you look at the size of that ship based on everything else, then it limits you to what existing ship could be.
Yeah, and there's no small ship.
It really does bring it down to that starter ship range. And
there's no small ship that even remotely looks like that. So yeah, again, statistically unlikely. Never say never, Fred. Not to chuck you under the bus, but the statistics are against you, sir. So yeah.
Anyway, that was our last question.
All right, so I will very quickly, because I forgot to look on Twitch for someone to raid. Any suggestions from Twitch would be appreciated if you find someone.
Faith might still be streaming. Didn't stream this week.
He might be.
Didn't raid it.
He didn't. He might be. I'm having a quick look. Give me a second.
I think he deliberately didn't raid us this week because we told him to come and join us.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we went off him a bit. Why are you coming to join us? You know, you didn't make time for us anymore. So yeah, no. There's no one there. We could raid Tom again. Tom's there. Loken's there. Let's see if there's anyone smaller there that we know. You could raid Enterprise. We haven't raided Ender for I think it's been a long time since we raided Angry PC. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna raid Angry PC Tech. Because he's doing his coins. He makes these really cool coins. And if you have a look at the coins, if he's doing any of them, have him ask, because I'm actually thinking about getting some made for Inforunners. So if you guys like challenge coins or anything like that, have an ask of him and get him to show us an Inforunners coin.
So
yeah,
it's time where we say YouTube, say goodbye to Twitch.
And Twitch, say goodbye to YouTube.
Before we do that, don't forget, like, subscribe, hit that bell. It always helps us.
I'm gonna do that afterwards, so the Twitch don't have to go through that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hey,
get out of order. Oh no, Sadie. No, it's fine.
Doesn't hurt.
All right, goodbye Twitch, YouTube. Say goodbye to Twitch, and they're gone. All right. So yeah, as Algared was saying, say it again, Algared.
Now the rest of you guys, don't forget, like, subscribe, hit that bell. It does. Not only does it give us a warm fuzzy, but it also helps feed the algorithm and does all that stuff. So, and we do know people have said, "Hey, I've been subscriber, but I didn't get notification." So, yeah.
All right. With that, then, he's been Algared.
He's been Execute, and we're out of here.
See you,
Take
citizens.
Care.
Bye.
Bye.